Nathan. What are you eating? How unprofessional. That's okay. You keep eating. I got work to do. Who's here first? Jerome Robinson, you made it. Is this your first time being first? I got something special for you. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. We got real-time footage of Jerome. Nathan, you got to see this on the. Are you on my YouTube channel? I'm not. Yeah, you won't see it here.
Hang on. Yeah, let me. I'm across. So yeah.
But Myron actually has real-time footage of Jerome Robinson celebrating being here first. Let's see if I can find it. You got it, Myron?
Oh no.
Yeah. Did you upload it? Yeah, Jerome Robinson doing the victory dance, being here first, 10,000 Pine points. Presto. Hey, yeah, Presto. I think we got real-time footage on you here too. And then let's see who's here third. Melody Joy. I don't have my crew. You wouldn't let them in your house, so I don't have anything on you. But you get 1,000 Pine points. And who's the big loser here? Let me double check. Jerome, Presto, Melody, Remy Gilnius is the big loser. I got something for you here.
And just remember, no one will ever be able to hate you more than you already hate yours.
Yeah, you should hate yourself for being here fourth. Come on, what's wrong with you? So Nathan and I were just in...
the best stream ever.
Yeah. Oh, it's so frustrating for me. Let me see if I can bring you up here. It was so frustrating that when you're in an environment where you can't control, like it's not your stream.
Yeah.
And you just talk and talk and talk. I mean, come on, you guys.
Yeah. And one thing that frustrated me was the number of people who also came in with the approach of like, you're wrong and you're an asshole for it. No, let me change your mind. And it's like, come on, like that's just not gonna work. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Too many constraints.
They should really study some street epistemology there. Like in the questions I asked her, I think
the second one was really good. I've forgotten what it was. What was it?
My question to her, by the way, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, we just came from Bread of Life stream where they had someone who believes God created life from non-life, and it's impossible, and she used that word, it's impossible for naturalism to explain that. And my question to her was, can someone say in this area that's impossible for something to happen naturally and be mistaken? And she said, she actually thought about the question. She paused for at least 5 seconds, and then her answer was,
and she had to find an extra reason.
Yeah, and her extra
why you had to think ahead.
Yeah, so her extra reason was, well, not if they're informed. And of course, I could have asked the follow-up question: can someone who's informed in this area, in this subject field, say that something's materially, naturalistically impossible and be mistaken? And but I didn't, because you got to hold yourself back and you just got to move on, because you're not in control. You got to accept that you don't have power in that situation.
Right.
And then what else did I ask her? I asked her if she supports abiogenesis research, and she said yes, and I appreciated that. But she said because it's for entertainment value. But if she truly believes it's impossible for naturalism to explain abiogenesis or how life came from non-life, why waste money? Why waste taxpayer money?
Yeah, I think the sort of answer she gave, because it's entertaining, is it is a bit of a weird one. Like it's clearly I don't know. It's just the sort of thing that people say who have those sort of beliefs where it's like a way of doubling down in their own position. But like yeah, but because it's funny to me how ridiculous all that stuff is. It's like, what? Like,
I probably shouldn't ask the last question about James Tour, but she sounds so much like him, I had to ask. And it's obvious she did hear of him, but only after, maybe. And it just boggles my mind that people don't understand that when you say, I don't know, therefore X, you can't do that. Or you can, but
So she's got like a phenomena that she wants to describe, right? Which is like, how do you get cells which can replicate in some sense? But then, I mean, what do we mean by an explanation of that? Like, what would count as an explanation? And I just don't think it's going to do to just like, you know, label something and say, well, that did it, right? Because that it doesn't tell you anything about how it happened. It doesn't. It it's not testable in any way. There's no like empirical meat on the bones there. You just stipulated the thing you wanted to explain, right? You just stipulated that something did it, and I mean, anything goes there, and they're all equally as bad. Like whether you're proposing God, whether you're proposing like this spoon, whether you're proposing like nature did it, they're all just really bad explanations. That's what I was trying to get her to see, but I mean, just not enough space, or I didn't ask my questions as well as I could have.
Well, and that's why I asked that other question about, okay, you believe God intervened to create life out of non-life. Where else has he intervened? Like,
right, yeah, when you were trying to get her to like specify what her hypothesis is, like, do you believe he like did it all at once in one place, or did he intervene at multiple times? And she said to that, I don't know. And it's like, yeah, that's your explanation. You know, you poke fun at the naturalist, saying, yeah, all we get from the naturalist is, I don't know how this happened, I don't know. But you ask any of the same questions of the theist, and they also say the same thing. How did God do it then? Or did he do it at one point in time? I don't know. And it's like, yeah, because
so she knows God intervened to make life from non-life, but she doesn't know where else God intervened. Like, that's interesting to me. Like, does God intervene with me just picking up this some water? Like, and I think she would say yes. And she kind of said that God intervenes constantly. So if God's intervening constantly on everything, you know, what isn't he? It becomes a very useless explanation. Someone donated to me $20 Canadian, which is only about 15 US only, but it's still a nice donation, to say this: the people of Samaria must bear their guilt because they have rebelled against their God. Their little ones will be dashed on the ground, the pregnant women ripped open. Jesus loves you. Yeah, so many people, and me included, use this moral intuitions found in the Old Testament to push back against Christianity. But I don't know how successful that's been in my career and yours. Like, bringing up the Canaanites, I think for some Christians it really does bother them, but for other Christians they just hand wave it away, like it never happened.
I think if you can like get someone to self-reflect on the fact that they're like trying to justify slavery, and get them to like look in that mirror for a second and think, yeah, that's pretty goofy, like I don't want to be the kind of person who does that, it might be effective. But for some people, they're not going to be able to do that or be that sort of person.
Yeah. Did you invite her? Tyler is her name?
I did in the chat, but I don't know if Rebecca has passed it on, to be honest. And now Sal Cordova is talking to her, and like it's just a circle jerk at this point. So,
you know, and I totally get it, and I understand why some theists find this so powerful, because it is a great mystery, sort of like consciousness, and it's just easy. It's just easy to put a placeholder, fill in explanation. But as Richard Dawkins said recently on Unbelievable, you've just moved the mystery one step away. I mean, to a God. And
unless you have an actual explanation there, like that's, you know, like a good explanation, right? That's what I'm saying. This is what I want her to think about. Taylor is like, what is her explanation? Because if she could tell me a bunch of good stuff, the same way my teachers told me about evolution, and it fit with all these other experiences I could have about the world, then I probably would accept it. But the problem is she can't do any of that.
You're talking about explanation for abiogenesis, or explanation?
Yeah. Like how God did it, what it
she
is.
Would
God
just say
did,
God
like,
spoke
ways
it,
it can test it,
because that's what the Bible says.
But what does that? I know, but it's like, what does that mean? Like, so God speaks it, and what, it just pops into existence?
Yeah,
like, how is that an explanation? You know, like, why can't I just say, well, that's what nature did as well? Like, nature just spoke it. It's like, well, you know, nature doesn't speak things. What it did in this case, right? It was just like a random brute fact of nature that it did it.
I wanted to ask her if she believes in evolution via common descent, and I guess she would say no, but I don't know. Wasn't sure.
Well, she answered to me that it could have been like God could have created a single cell, and that could have evolved into us. So she said that that's possible. So she at least doesn't deny, but that's not the same as her actually believing it, right? So she doesn't say it's impossible in the same sense. She says other things are impossible, but that doesn't mean she actually believes that that's what.
Yeah, my guess is she doesn't. But if she doesn't, then I guess she has to believe that not only did God create a cell, but he created the whole organism right away. And there's really no intervening necessary once you got a human. I don't think so. But like people like Jonathan McClatchy, he'll say the same thing. He's knowledgeable about at least some evolution, and he will say, it's impossible for this to happen naturalistically, and so therefore God has to intervene. But what does that even mean, to intervene? Like, does God actually see the nucleotides, the amino acids?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying about explanation, though. Like, it's like, what is the explanation that the theist is offering here? There's nothing to it. It's like, if I just said nature did it, it's as good as what they're offering. And that's what, when she was saying, well, you're just saying nature did it, like that's really rubbish. Like, how do you think it happened? I'm like, yeah, now just reflect, right? Like, apply that question to yourself.
Oh, your favorite person's here. Otangelo.
Hello, Otangelo. We meet again.
Were you there at that stream?
Yeah, I arrived just at the end of the stream.
So you missed me and Nathan ask her questions. You would like Nathan and I's questions. It would cause you great hope and doubt in your hope, meaning, and purpose. Right?
Deadpan.
So what did you guys take out of that stream? Did you learn something?
You think there is something to learn when you say God did it?
Absolutely. It is the end.
Oh, I already knew that.
And the most parsimonious answer.
Yeah, but there's nothing to learn.
Well, it's not as parsimonious as my natural disposition of the universe, right?
Well, I mean, if you want to bring in natural causes, then you have to resort to multiverses, to
that's not what I did.
Chemical,
single universe natural dispositionism was my explanation.
Yeah, but where did the universe come from? Was it eternal?
No, it didn't come from anywhere.
So has it always been, always existed?
No, it passed finite.
Otangelo, why are you asking Nathan these questions? You know the answers. But you asked me the question when you first came in, did I learn anything? And what is there to learn other than God did it?
Well, if you have actually come to that conclusion, then you have basically the main answer, which from there, then you can construct your entire new worldview.
How?
Well, all relevant questions. I mean, the science fathers, they did start from the premise that God did it, but they wanted to know and investigate what he actually did. So they were digging deeper and deeper into the natural world. And I mean, once you discover new things, it amazes, because you discover God's brilliance and intelligence.
No, but how do I
actually to glorify
my
God?
My question was, how do I construct a worldview, even if I say God created life from non-life and a God exists? Where do I go from there, and why?
Well, you have actually then constructed your worldview, which is based on God, right?
Yeah, but what do I know other than that he created life from non-life?
Well, you can develop it and learn more about what God created.
How do I learn more?
Well, study science. That would be a good
start. But if I've already accepted that God created the universe and created life from non-life...
Well, I don't think that God is a science stopper. Quite the contrary.
I didn't say that. I'm asking you, what comes from that? Where do we go from there? Like, does that mean...
Keep investigating the natural world. It isn't the science stopper when you say God.
Okay, if we keep investigating the natural world...
Who said science stopper?
Yeah, nobody said science stopper here. But my point is, just because if someone grants that God created everything and created life from non-life, That doesn't mean Jesus rose from the dead. That doesn't mean he created the Quran. That doesn't mean he saw Joseph Smith, right?
Well, I mean, I use a cumulative argument for the resurrection, which starts.
I know, but can you say, yes, Doug, you're right? It doesn't mean those things.
Yes, you are right. The teleological argument doesn't lead you to a specific God. Of course not. And I mean, this is commonly known.
Okay, so at best,
all you can say is,
so at best,
intelligence. You can come to a deistic God and say, well, God created everything and then retracted. Of course, you can say that. And some have said that.
Okay, but the point that I'm making, and I think even, what's her name? Taylor, right?
Taylor.
What Taylor admitted is you get nothing other than creation using that argument. Nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you get that intelligence is a superior explanation of the complexity of our world rather than not.
Yeah,
that's
it. That's it.
And it is, yes, but it's a good starting point to investigate further and then actually try to find out which of the multiple gods and religions out there might best fit the bill.
Or none of them, right?
Well, once you know that intelligence was actually involved, of course, then you can, as I said previously, say that none of these religions maybe are adequate and the intelligence,
like true or false,
we don't know it's correct.
True or
but right? Yeah, the answer to Doug's question was
true or false. If knowing that a God created an intelligent mind, created the universe and life from non-life, does not mean that he loves us. True or false?
True.
Does not mean that he even cares about us.
Correct.
Right. So almost nothing follows from it. Other than that, we got an explanation of how we're here.
Doug, I think it is a tremendous advance when someone like Nathan or you come to the conclusion rationally by investigating the natural world that intelligence actually had to be involved somehow in creating our
But
world.
You haven't told me how it's a good step. Like, what's next? You haven't said anything. You said that we can now start investigating, but if someone investigates all the religions and comes to the conclusion they're all wrong, is that good? I mean, is that good enough?
I mean, Anthony Flew, he stopped right there.
Yep.
He just came to a deistic God. And I mean, of course, in the end, if you die and Christ is actually the answer, and you are judged, then of course you didn't receive him as Lord and Savior, so you will end up as an atheist.
And if Allah is the answer?
To
if you accept Christ and Allah is the answer?
Excuse me, Nathan?
And if you accept Christ, right, and Allah is the answer? I mean, I'm saying like what you're saying is just trivially true. Right?
Yeah. I mean, Nathan, you can do comparative investigation of religions, and I think that there is so overwhelming evidence that Christianity is true that if you do it honestly,
that wasn't my point. Essentially, was just
to Islam.
My point was only that you're saying, and of course you could be an atheist, you could be a deist, but if Christianity is true, then Christianity is true, right? And it's like, well, if Islam's true, then Islam is true, and if Mormonism's true, then Mormonism's true. It's like, what's the point of sort of saying these things?
Well,
I like, obviously I agree, right? But we're just sort of saying empty, vacuous statements at that point.
No, I don't think so. I think
So think about it. If Christianity is true, it's true. Like, I mean, it's not really helpful advice, is it?
Yeah, it's...
Well, all I can tell you is do your own investigation, and then eventually you will...
Do you think Nathan and I haven't done that?
Than I have.
Do you think Nathan and I have done that? Is there anything you know about Christianity that I don't?
I don't know what you know. That...
Oh, come on. I got a YouTube channel with 700 videos on it.
Well, yeah, I've not watched all your videos. I know that you know a lot.
Guess.
This is interesting.
This is interesting. But... Guess. What do you think I am missing knowledge-wise about Christianity?
Doc, you are an enigma for me. I don't understand you.
Well, with that, I'll bid you. You can come back in, but I'm going to cycle people just one at a time. And if the room is open, then Jay Oh, Jay, come on, Jay. What are you wearing on your head?
Hey, Doug. What? Oh, this is the new Fogain. This is my new testosterone supplement.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, man, that's some wild hair growth.
They want me to do the commercials for this, but people don't understand. It's not just the testosterone supplement. You actually have to believe. There's a certain amount of faith that it kind of results. So if you try the supplement, but you don't get the same kind of results I do, it's because you haven't believed.
Hang on a second. Donnie H., thanks for the donation. Ask Otangelo how something as immensely complicated as God doesn't need a creator. Yeah, that's a good point, because so often, we can't explain it. So complicated, life from non-life. It has to have a designer, a creator, an intelligence. Well, isn't God complicated? Isn't his own creativity and intelligence something that demands an explanation? And of course they'll say no. But did you talk to Taylor, Jay?
No, I was trying to call in, but I got cut off. So can you guys explain to me what happened? Because I tuned in and all I heard was her going off about, like, there's good reason to believe in God, and scientists are scared, and they're so frustrated that they don't even know what cells are.
Doug and I have had our mind changed. We're actually intelligent design proponents now.
Are you?
She had a really good argument.
And Jay,
tell me more about
Jay,
it.
are you saved? Have you met Jesus?
No.
Well, let me tell you a little story. No, I'm kidding. I'll summarize Taylor in
yeah, please give me the
10 seconds, 20 seconds. Basically, life from non-life is impossible naturally. Therefore, supernatural, non-natural entity intelligence had to do it. Done.
But where did she get off talking about her scientific background? Like what was her qualification?
Cell biology?
She has a master's maybe, and she's working on her PhD.
But then she got up there and she was like, well, I don't really know anything about evolution. I haven't really studied that. But I've heard they've got an irreducible complexity problem over there that those evolutionary biologists are having difficulties with. And I was like, no, we don't. Like, we've done, like, I hate to say it, but like, I've literally done experiments out of my lab in like the origin of complex features and irreducible complexity. Like, we have not only just, like, I mean, it was never a problem to begin with, right? Like, when Darwin wrote The Origin of Species, he explained it and he was right. But we've now confirmed it even in like laboratory experiments and digital experiments. I mean, this is just really, and this is what I mean. It's like, these people get up there and then, like, look, if you're going to get up on these channels and talk about, look, I have this theological commitment and I really believe this stuff, and, like, that's one thing. But when you get up there and you start saying, I'm a scientist, this is science that I'm talking about, like, I said she was trash. I think Rebecca might be mad at me because I said in the comments that I think this lady's trash. And I really do. Like, I think it's time for me to eat your lunch when you're that far off base.
I just think she was kind of uninformed about some of the things she was talking about, but not clear in her mind, like, where her expertise in her fields ends and where she starts, like, talking about other stuff. So I think she just thought that her expertise sort of like transfers then into whatever else she's talking about.
Did you guys feel like she made an actual case for these like scientists feeling this way? Because it seemed like she just went to gaps, right? It seemed like a very complex God of the gaps argument.
So she was claiming basically there are several sort of, I think the way that she was thinking was basically there are several features of the cell which would have to exist at the same time in order for so she conceded firstly that cells could have evolved into people, which I think is like an okay start, right? So but then she's saying, well, the problem is, if you look at the cell, there's all this kind of stuff you need. So she said you need like the Golgi apparatus, you'd need proteins to read like RNA and stuff. You'd need like phospholipids and like proteins that work as ion pumps in phospholipids and things like that. And so she was saying you need all this stuff to kind of come together at once in order to have like your minimum viable product, as it were, for evolution to ever work. And then she just said, as Doug said, it's impossible for nature to do that. Therefore, God.
Hey, Nathan, shift to your right.
Okay.
There you go.
Doug, did you want to let somebody else in?
No, not yet. The floor is yours for now.
Okay. No, I actually was kind of interested to hear what other people had to say about it. I just really felt like I got outraged. Like I still haven't calmed down. Like I'm still like on edge about the whole thing. But it really
You got to
bothered
work
me.
on that, Jay. You got to,
Yeah, I know.
you got to say serenity now. You got to take a deep breath and not let anything bother you. You got to be dead inside.
I was saying I failed to be dead inside. Doug, can I show you something fun that I showed on my stream last week?
No longer than 10 seconds. You're muted.
Yeah, I was waiting, Blake, and I didn't realize Jay was like talking to things. Can't hear you, Jay.
Oh, come on. Jay, what's this unprofessionalism? You come on my stream, you got to be ready. Yeah, no, we can't hear you. Be dug inside, not dead. Yeah. Like, I'm sure Taylor is a very nice young lady who just thinks that she truly does believe it's impossible that life can come from non-life, and so she posits a God. And then she probably met a very handsome Christian young man, and it's the Christian God. Still can't hear you, Jay. No.
That was the other thing I was going to say, though, is that, you know, like, she could definitely convince me to be a Christian.
I'm going to be rude.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, this is incentive. This is like me being a coach. And if you don't, you know, get on base in baseball, you're benched.
I don't know the baseball. We play rounders in the UK.
What's rounders?
It's like
cricket?
Baseball light. No, well, we do play cricket as well, but rounders is like it's a game that's I think it's only ever played in PE in schools. Like I don't know if it's even a sport outside. It's kind of like baseball, but I don't really know what baseball is. So.
Room's open for people who are prepared. I will only accept dumb theists today. The other day I accepted intelligent ones, but today is open to dumb ones.
Is Atangelo still
there?
there?
He set the precedent.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Atangelo. You're not dumb. You just saw a demon or something and you became convinced. He still hasn't told me what his personal experience was. He's admitted to me that there was a personal experience in his life.
Yeah. I just find it so tedious talking to him because it's like nothing makes a dent, and you just get these scripts of various like things that he's already said, and it becomes
it's like
really frustrating. But you can deal with it.
It doesn't bother me. But Atangelo, whenever you come on my stream, the first thing you should say is, "Doug, you're going to hell. I don't want you to. Now let's talk." Like that, because that's what it's all about. You want to start like, I just got to get Doug to believe an intelligent, disembodied mind, and then we can go to Jesus. I know that's your strategy, but why should anyone care if there's no hell, right? Who am I accepting in live stream today? Anyone. And we can talk about anything.
But it's got to be controversial.
I know. What's his name? Some Selby guy. He wants to talk philosophy so badly.
Uh-oh. Or it'd be good to see what's his name back in here as well.
Can you hear me?
Is Jim Bob allowed in?
Yeah.
Made by Jim Bob. Yeah, okay. Can hear you now, Jay.
Thanks. You guys can go ahead and bring somebody else on. I like talking to people. If you don't mind.
Well, I'm gonna go one at a time for now.
Okay. Well, what was I gonna ask you? Oh, where can I get a Flying Man t-shirt?
You know me and merch. I got this aversion to money. I mean, I don't.
So will you like drop the guy's name on us or something so we can contact them? I know a lot of people have been coming through my channel talking about they want them. Like people
maybe I'll do merch someday. I don't know. Maybe when I get cancer, then I'll use it to raise funds.
But didn't you just show a Flying Man t-shirt on your channel? You're not going to sell it?
No, I didn't make it. Someone else just designed it on the internet. They don't exist in real life.
Oh, all right. Well, also we found some scriptures that we've been reading on my live stream. So if you want to come through my channel, we've actually found the Myronist text. If you want to hear some of the revelations, some of the prophecies of the flying man, we can get into that. I don't want to bore you with Bible study though. I know if I start reading.
Okay, and remind everyone what your channel is.
So I have a Jay Bundy channel, and then also Pocket Locker 86 is where I do my live streams. And I think tonight we're gonna pull a fast one, and we're gonna respond to Taylor. So I'll have a healthy space to get dead inside first, and then I'll rage, and then I'll let it go. I'll be dead inside again.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks, Doug. I'll see you soon. Good to see you.
See ya.
See you, Jake.
Why is it doing that? Putin has cancer?
Yeah, did you not know that?
Well, I heard rumors, but it's official.
Intelligence services have said he's receiving cancer treatment. So, like, I think MI5 or whoever said.
Okay, Christians, you know what to pray for. Pray for Putin.
And he said a really, I don't know if you saw how puffy his face was, you know, on the May Day parades with like radiation treatment, I think.
Or steroids. But what? Yeah, there was a guy named Selby who wanted to come in and talk to me about philosophy, and it's great that you're here, Nathan. So if he does come on, he can talk mostly to you.
Uh-oh.
It's amazing to me how so many people want to talk about logic, the philosophy of logic or whatever, rather than Jesus.
For theists, I think that very few of them are gonna like have anything reasonable to say that gets them from anywhere like talking about these things to like God existing or anything like that. I mean, maybe there's a few people who do have interesting things to say, but those few people are, you know, in like Oxford or Cambridge or a few sort of universities in the US. Most people who talk about these things on YouTube just don't have very very good points about like how logic gets you to God.
And the thing is, what do you even like? If someone was to ask me, prove that logic exists, my first question is, well, define logic. Like, if you want to talk philosophy, we want to talk definitions all day long, right?
Well, it's like prove that logic exists. It's like, what do you want me to like do some inferences in front of you or something?
Yeah, this is how I would do it.
Yeah.
One ball, another ball. One,
Right.
two balls. Done.
Yeah, I take one away.
What do I think of Rebecca's Grinch video? I thought it was good.
Yeah, that was a good video.
For some reason, I don't like hearing people sing, but other than like, so I didn't like the first 10 seconds. I'm not saying she's a bad singer, but the poetry was nice. But like, come on, like you can tell there's something deep inside her who doesn't really like it when I go live when she does.
How did you feel about being compared to Satan, though?
Oh, that was an honor. Because he is a very intelligent, disembodied mind. Is that live stream still going? Let me check here.
The other one? I bet.
No, they're done.
Oh, no, it's ended now. It has ended. Yeah.
Yeah. I just... My only...
Oh, she has Instagram. I'm going to follow Taylor on Instagram.
Yeah, I followed her on Twitter. She got very passionate there for a while.
But I think because people were coming in and sort of like calling her like an idiot and an asshole for believing what she was believing, like that got her back up against the wall.
Oh, Jason Torn. Yeah, she got passionate when he was on.
Yeah.
And Jason, if you're listening to this ever, I know you came in and you said, hey, I'm not pushing, I'm not, antagonistic or anything, but rewatch how you handled that. When you got to learn that when someone says something blatantly wrong that you think is blatantly wrong, you have to learn how to just not react.
Smile.
Yeah, just smile. You got to be able to take it. And because, and you got to also learn that in that type of situation, that when you ask a question and you hear something that you think is blatantly wrong, to shut up and just let her talk about something that's blatantly wrong and take it. And it's a hard skill for people to learn. I actually think you have to be over 50 to do it.
Well, I definitely like struggled and responded a bit too brashly with one of the ways that she responded. It is hard.
Yeah. Are you here, Jason Torn? If you are, you're welcome to come in. Instead of me just saying this about you, I can say it right in your face. Hey, thank you for the donation, my one black friend. Hello, everyone. Jay Bunny forgot to mention the show he does with my one black friend on Sundays at 3:30 Eastern. It's called Hot Program. Oh, okay. So you guys are in cahoots. I was looking at, I don't know why, but I was looking at 150 arguments for God on Capturing Christianity's channel the other day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The worst part, I mean, it's a really bad video in total, but the worst part is at the end, right? Cameron gets out this spreadsheet, and they talk about how each of the arguments is evidence in favor of God. And so they go like, so imagine we start off with like, with 50-50 as to whether God exists. And then they just put into this basic probability calculation, like 150 pieces of evidence in favor of one of them. They go, and Cameron's like, wow, that's crazy. Like that makes the Christian number go up in like this spread, like 4x4 spreadsheet. And then like, let's pump those numbers up. And it's just ridiculous,
You won't be able to hear this, but when he says, we got all these arguments for God, and it's not just from, these are peer reviewed from some of the smartest people. I wanted to put that as a clip combined with this. Now you won't be able to hear it, but it's a kid going crazy, getting banged in the head and enjoying it. Floyd said,
I could see it.
Floyd.
James and I did an entire review of all 150 of those arguments, by the way. And Joe Schmid on the Majesty of Reason channel, he's now got a 12-hour video up reviewing all of them as well, but like super in depth about why they're all wrong. That'll get no engagement ever off Cameron. But...
Hey, I was not aware of it, Floyd. So what's happening with Randall Rouser and Mike Winger?
I'll tell you, Randall Rouser is like ripe for the picking. I think he's getting closer and closer to atheism. But he's part two now on defending his progressive Christianity against Mike Winger. Mike Winger is criticizing progressive Christians, and Randall Rouser is trying to defend his view. And he said that God inerrantly puts errors into the Bible. Go figure that.
You sure he said that?
And inerrantly puts errors in there.
So you're saying Randall Rouser admitted that God is a deceiver?
I'm still trying to make sense out of that.
Are you sure it wasn't a joke or something?
No.
From the context.
He watches most recent videos, but like a few videos back, he actually admitted that he's struggling on certain passages. Because he has his whole view that you have to read the Bible from Jesus. Like you have Jesus first, and Jesus is a sandal wearing hippie, and so when you read the atrocities in the Old Testament, Randall Rouser says, oh well, that's not Jesus, so we can just write that off. But he's admitted lately in some of his videos that he's really struggling with those passages.
But he wrote a book about it, and he's still struggling. I thought it was clear in his head.
No, I'll try to find it. But
like, doesn't he just say that God had nothing to do with that? What was written there?
Yeah, I mean it's hard how I'm still trying to understand how he phrases it, but it's like it's in the Bible, so he like. With the dashing, I take pleasure dashing babies against rocks. He said, oh, well, that's just, the writer expressing his frustration. That's not God. That's how he translates that. Because Jesus would never approve of that.
And then when it says in the Gospels, sell your possessions and give to the poor, that's just the writer expressing his compassion. That wasn't really Jesus. Like that's how I would retort
Yeah.
to Randall Rouser. Like, where do you draw the line?
But yeah, I mean, the best way to attack Christianity or any religion is just let the infighting, happen. Let them punch each other out, and every time that happens, Satan laughs. You know?
I laugh, and I'm Satan,
Mm.
so that's true.
I forget which video. There's one video. It wasn't too long ago. It was, I would say, in the last month, where Randall Rouser's like saying, "Yeah, I really, this is a real problem. I really struggle with this." And I wrote a comment saying, I appreciate your honesty on this, um, but I think Randall Rouser's really getting beaten up lately.
Yeah, well, I do think it is a big problem for all Christians because, progressive or not, even the very conservative Calvinists that I talk to, they have a problem with the stuff in the Old Testament, but they just trust that God's God and He knows what He's doing. But they have a problem with it. They say, most of them say poof rather than drown.
All right. Here's the video. It's called Did Jesus Lack Empathy?" So yeah, he's struggling with what Jesus uh, said or did in Luke 2:41 through 50. I'll put it. I can put it in the chat. But yeah, you should check out. Yeah, did Jesus lack empathy? That was one where he kind of struggled with it.
Yeah. The thing is, Christianity is based on Jesus, and Christians do not really know who the real Jesus is. Like, the Randall Rouser Jesus is much different than the Mike Winger Jesus.
I'm trying to remember Luke 2:41 through 50. I forget what that was story about. Now his parents went to Jerusalem. Oh, it's the one where Jesus is 12 years old, and he just like ignores his parents. He goes to the Jerusalem temple to debate with the I guess the Sanhedrin or the Sadducees there, and Joseph and Mary say, "Hey, we're looking all over for you. Where were you?" And Jesus, just said, "Don't you know that I'm doing my father's business?" Or he's basically disrespecting his adoptive parents or his step parents, I guess.
But it's in this video where he admits that he's really struggling.
Yeah.
Let me actually, you know what? I might play the whole thing here. Let me see.
Yeah, it's only 8 minutes and 51 seconds.
Okay, well, yeah. Once you guys leave, I'll play it here, and if you want to come back, you can, and or whoever wants to come back. This sounds interesting to me, though, so I'm going to play it. Thanks, Floyd. Cool.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's good that Randall Rouser is trying to figure things out, but
yeah. Okay, well, if I'll watch this, and then maybe I'll give him a call, and tell him to come on here.
All right then.
Okay, let's put this up. Like, I'm a very, very compassionate person, and if Randall Rouser is hurting, I want to be there for him. I want to be able to give him a shoulder to cry on and let him know that it's okay, that everything that he holds true and valuable, all his hope, meaning, and purpose, is indeed false. I want to be there for him. Okay, let's take a listen.
Empathy involves the ability to understand the feelings of another person. You don't have to have the same experience, emotion. That's sympathy, right? The same pathos. But empathy is the ability to understand, even if you don't share the same experience of the other person, you still can understand it. Now, Jesus, if Jesus is God the Son, if he's perfect God, he should presumably have perfect empathy, the perfect ability to understand the pain and the suffering of another person.
Yeah, he should. But my guess is he's going to say maybe not, because in Jesus the man, he limits his omniscience. his knowingness of all these pains and sufferings. Is he going to say that? Because I know Randall Rouser has admitted to me that there's some things that Jesus would not have known of, many things in the Old Testament, including, well, I think was this conversation with Randall, and I asked him if he thinks that Jesus knew that evolution via common descent was true, or even knew what it was. And I think Randall said no, not in his flesh. And I think it's a similar answer that William Lane Craig gives. Jesus would have said, what's evolution?
With that in mind, let's turn to Luke chapter 2, the very well-known pericope or story, self-contained story in the life of Jesus, pertaining to the time when he was in the temple, beginning in verse 41 of Luke 2. Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. After the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw this, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Okay, the one thing I want to kind of set aside in our discussion and reflection in this video.
What's bothering Randall here is that when the God of the universe understand, at least feel bad a little bit, that his parents worried about their child not being home for 3 days. Like, if one of my kids was gone for 3 days and we had no idea where they were, like, can you imagine all the horrendous thoughts that go through a parent's mind? Were they kidnapped? Are they dead? Where are they? And if one of my children knew that we were worried about them and could have let us know that they're okay and didn't, that's a horrible, rotten kid.
Is what is clearly the messianic and high Christological framework of this passage, that it is establishing a unique relationship that Jesus has to God as his Father, and that he has a unique self-understanding already emerging at the age of 12 with respect to that. And so this is a very, very important story for that reason. But again, I want to set that aside, and I want to just consider the question of empathy. When my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old, we were visiting family in Colorado.
Oh, he's going to give a similar example what I just gave.
And she got frustrated with me at one point, and she stormed off. And then we went on, and we were doing our thing. And then we called out for her probably half an hour later and couldn't hear from her. She didn't respond. I shouted again, like I shouted. And then I screamed at the top of my lungs, calling out for my daughter. And there was no response, just silence in the house. In a moment of panic, we suddenly thought maybe she left the house and she walked away. She ran away from home, as it were. And so we went out and looked in the neighborhood and couldn't find her anywhere. Got back, and by this time I am in maximal panic mode. And we called the police department in Fort Collins in Colorado, and they came out to look for my daughter who was missing. I couldn't process. I couldn't put thoughts together. This is the way that my mind was working in that moment, in that time when my daughter was missing at the age of 4. There was a construction site next to the house at this time, and I was right away thinking that my daughter had been murdered by construction workers.
I've not seen this video before, but it's interesting how parents think alike. It's just so obvious that parents are going to think the worst if their child goes missing, and that we go into panic mode.
Because that's just the kinds of thoughts that come into your mind when you're in panic mode. The police started by saying, let's do a sweep of the house. And so they start going through the house. And then I hear the police call out, "Sir, come here." when I heard that, what went into my mind was that the police were calling out the window to some construction worker who was looking suspicious and was covered in blood. And so I was already thinking at that point, my daughter's been murdered. She's dead. She's gone. And I was just like stunned, the anguish, the torment, the vulnerability, the horror of that experience. And then I heard the voice again, "Sir, please come here." And suddenly it clicked and I came back to reality and I realized he was calling me. And I came upstairs and lo and behold, my daughter had fallen asleep beneath the bunk bed. And she must have been a deep sleeper because she professed she didn't hear me when I was screaming. And so when we woke her up, she was just fast. She had been fast asleep. I had in that experience about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, where I didn't know where my daughter was. And I was terrified. That is, I'm sure, the single worst hour of my life. We read in this passage that after Jesus's parents have been traveling for a day, they have a revelation, a horrible revelation that he's missing. It's like in the movie Home Alone. Everybody begins to realize that they've left Kevin behind, right? He's back at home and they've gone off to Paris. And here it is in this moment. Jesus's parents realize that they've left him behind. He's back in Jerusalem. When they finally get to Jerusalem and find him in the temple courts, it has been 3 days. Imagine that. Imagine going to sleep every night, not knowing where your 12-year-old child is, waking up in the morning with, again, this sense of anguish, of pain, of suffering, of fear, of horror, of vulnerability. And in that moment,
I must say, this is good. This is a good analogy he used, and this is, like, I don't believe this story ever actually happened in history, but if it did, if a guy named Jesus, who is described in the Gospels, actually did this as a kid and still has the knowledge of a God, this is evil to do this to your parents, knowing what you're doing and how it's going to affect them. Isn't there a line from the end of Kill Bill 2 when Bill says to Beatrice, having someone think you're dead when you're not is a rotten, evil thing to do. Someone that loves you, have them think that. And so Randall's exactly right here. If many Christians say that Jesus was perfect, did no sin, but isn't this a clear example of that not being true? Isn't it a sin to have your parents think you're dead or missing, and the worst possible thing, knowing that they're thinking that, easily being able to fix that and remedy it, and not doing so?
The words of Jesus's mother come to us. Mary says, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." I hear there the voice of a mother who experienced what I experienced in that hour of desperation, wondering what had happened to her son, fearing that he may not even be alive anymore. And the words of Jesus, "Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" Well, no, she didn't know that.
Yeah, and not only that, Jesus knew that she didn't know that, if he's God.
What seems to be problematic in this passage is Jesus seems to show a lack of empathy for his mother and his father, for clearly the anguish and sorrow and fear they had. And even if they should have recognized that he was in the temple for 3 days, the fact that he wouldn't say to them, "I'm sorry that you didn't think to look for me here. I'm sorry that I put you through that. I'm sorry for the fear and the anguish and the vulnerability and the pain and the horror that you've been experiencing." But no, he simply softly chastises them, in essence, saying, "Why did you search for me? Didn't you know where I would be?" And that, again, brings me back to this concept of empathy, of being able to understand and share the feelings of other people, express compassion for them. And in this moment, at least, Jesus' interaction with his parents seems to lack that kind of compassion. It seems to lack empathy. I also think
what's interesting is about Randall is this really bothers him because I'll just say it, he's a progressive type Christian and he values the Gospels way more than the Old Testament. And I know that's a crude way to say it, and if he were here, he wouldn't say, "No, you're straw manning me." Yes, just I always straw man everybody. That's just assume that's the default position. But if you put this in the context of Jesus being God, the one being, and killing babies and infants, the Canaanites, the Amalekites, like this is nothing. But Randall doesn't believe that happened either. Like that. This doesn't reflect the real Jesus. But here he's stuck because he has, since he values these New Testament scriptures so much, surely Jesus knew the pain and turmoil he's put on his parents, and he did it anyway.
Day after day, for 3 days, Jesus has been in the temple and nobody knows there where his parents are. Why would he not have said something? You know what? My parents, I don't think they would abandon me. They must be looking for me. Could somebody go out and, even if I'm going to sit here and answer questions in the temple, let's still let my parents know that I'm okay. But no, he never even thought to do that, which again suggests a lack of empathy. Now, I'm not going to offer a simple resolution to this problem. What I simply want...
I can. A simple resolution is that this is not historical.
I want to point out is that the problem is there, and there probably isn't a simple resolution. I do think that we need to keep in mind the main point of this pericope brings us back to what I set aside at the beginning, which is what it tells us about the God the Son, or Jesus's unique relationship of sonship to the Father, his growing understanding and awareness of his calling, the calling upon his life with his Father.
You understand what he's saying here, Christians? He's saying that Jesus maybe was always God, but he had to grow in his understanding that he is God and that he is all-knowing, or at least somewhat better at knowing than us. I don't even know where Randall stands on that. On how, my guess is Randall would not say that the human Jesus knew everything, only the divine Jesus, but that divine Jesus was set aside sometimes. It's confusing to me.
By his Father, his desire to honor his Father, to provide a new understanding of God's law in God's temple. But even with all that set aside and recognizing it is important, we nonetheless have the question that lingers and remains and frankly bothers me, which is that Jesus does seem to show an unsettling lack of empathy for the great suffering of his parents.
Whoa, and he ends it there. Whoa. That's interesting. He makes no attempt to resolve it in his own head or his Christian followers listening to him. I see what Floyd's saying. I added my commentary in the comment section. Let me look at it. There's a lot of comments here. But I completely understand why this bothers Randall. If you're a parent, you would completely understand this. Well, even if you're not a parent, you can sympathize. Does he respond to you, Floyd? I can't find your comment. Must have been a long time ago. As a Christian, we do not have to resolve everything. Do you have to resolve some things? This should not be shocking. The scriptures tell us they won't believe, but we must love them anyway. Yeah, that's true, integrity-minded. The gospel is foolishness to those who are perishing, right? And the only way people come to believe is when God softens the unbeliever's heart, when the Holy Spirit goes to work first, helps them see the truth. I'll say it that way. So anybody who does not believe, it's because of what God didn't do. Like, you talk about, like, this is bothering Randall, this passage. But what I just said, many Christians would say is true. Even non-Calvinists would say this. And this should trouble you. It should trouble you, if you're a Christian listening right now, that every loved one who's not a believer is not a believer because God has not acted in them first. There's a lot more than 21 comments now, Floyd. Oh, hang on. I was looking at the wrong one. Hang on. You could be right. Still don't see it. Oh, here it is. Dr. Rouser is brave to give his honest view on this troubling passage. When I read this story, which I consider to be fiction, yeah, me and Floyd are the same, I find it troubling as well and find it to be another example of the ugly side of Christianity. I believe this story was invented to teach that above all, Jesus is God of all creation, and recognizing this is more important than any other aspects of one's life. It is just one story among many in the Bible. Yeah. But many Christians, of course, don't believe that. What you believe, Floyd, and what I believe. So they are stuck with a problem here. The only outs I can see they have is God wanted his earthly parents to suffer for morally sufficient reasons. That's one out. That's the out for everything. That's the out for problem of evil. A second out is that Jesus, as the being God, was not really God in the sense that he knew everything like the God the Father does, because only God the Father knew the time and coming of the kingdom of heaven. So he was limited in his omniscience. That's another out. What's a third out that Christians can use? I think those are the main two outs. Randall does not like typical evangelical apologetics. He's embarrassed by Frank Turek. He's embarrassed by even William Lane Craig. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here. I think Randall would say that most of the apologists that I highlight on my show are trash. He would never say it that way, but he'd kind of think it. Why is there suffering in the first place? Ask yourself this. Yeah, that's a great question. This is the problem of evil that most Christians cannot wrap their brain around. They think, look around you, we exist, so therefore there's a God, so there has to be good reasons for suffering. But it goes deeper than that, far, far deeper than that. And that is, why would God create anything at all to begin with? If he is all self-sufficient, lacking nothing, doesn't need anything, totally content, totally loving within the Trinity, why in the world would he create? Why would in the world would he desire to create something he hates, namely sin, disbelief? That is the true problem of evil. And you just can't hand wave it away and say, It's a mystery. He has more than sufficient reasons. The good outweighs the bad. He doesn't need any more good. He is all good. There is only downside by creating and no upside for him, for God. And all you Christians who say, but then we couldn't smell the flowers. We couldn't go to heaven and fellowship with him if we didn't create. Who cares about you? It's not about you, not about you. It's all about the glory of God. And he doesn't need you. He doesn't need you. If you think God needs you, then you've now weakened one of his omni-properties. And if you're the type of Christian who says that the reason why there is evil and sin and suffering on this planet is because of human free will, you miss the point. You have been taught that answer by apologists and your Sunday school teachers, and you have not thought about it. It's not about the free will of humans. It's about the free will of Yahweh, of God. Could he have chosen not to create? Does he know that if he does create, what will happen? If you say yes to those two answers, you have a problem on your hands. And if you don't even understand what I'm saying right now, I hate to say it, your IQ is too low. Thank you for the donation, Arabian Princess. What would it take for you to believe in God? Excellent question. I get asked this a lot, and my answer is always the same. I can soak a napkin in water and ask God to light it up on fire in front of my own eyes, in front of everybody's eyes. I'm not trying to trick myself. Why would I trick myself? Unless I'm practicing to trick others, but I'm not doing that. So here's another good example. What would change my mind about God? And by the way, this is the most important question to ask an atheist. It's the most important question to ask a theist. What would it take for you to not believe in God, Arabian Princess? But if Arabian Princess and I go to a cemetery together and we both know someone who's been dead for years, and if she prays, or he, whoever, prays in the name of Jesus or Allah, whatever, for someone to come bubbling through the dirt and be revivified, my whole worldview would be shattered, kaput, gone, garbage. And a lot of atheists and a lot of theists don't believe me when I say this, but I'm telling you the truth. And if you still don't believe me, let's try it and find out, for goodness sake. Let's demonstrate that I'm a liar right now. Let's go to a cemetery together and try to raise the dead. Let's try to light up my water-soaked napkin. So let me be very clear and very passionate, because even though I'm dead inside, anytime a Christian, or Muslims usually don't talk about miracles that much, but anytime a Christian says to me, but there has been miracles like this, someone has been raised from the dead, and some people have had these amazing experiences, I say this: BS. I don't believe you. I don't believe those claims. And you shouldn't either. Another common complaint against what would take to change my mind is that God is not a repeatable. You can't ask for miracles on demand, number one, and even if you could, God's not repeatable in that way. If God announces through a prophet that they're going to do a miracle next month on this day, it's at a certain time in this country, in this time zone, everybody, Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, Hindus, gather around. Come watch. It's going to happen on this day at this place. We're going to raise someone from the dead. Get the cameras out. Get the satellites out. Get the news crews from different organizations out. And then, in the name of Jesus, raise someone from the dead. Now we have something. Now you can take that book of miracles by what's his name, Craig Keener, and you can burn it. At that point, take Craig Keener's book, that thick book full of miracle claims, and burn it, because you do not need it anymore. And then ask God to do it every 3 months in a different country of his choosing. Every 3 months. If God really wants none to perish, if God really wants everyone to believe in him and not reject him, I think this God would do whatever it takes, and I'm even accounting for free will of humans, assuming it exists. He can do this. He can do a miracle like this every 3 months around the world to raise the confidence in non-believers like me. And if you're the type of Christian who says, don't test your God, only an evil generation asks for signs, well, guess what? Then people like me are going to hell, and that's that. And guess what? People like me do not care, because we do not believe hell exists. So it's no fear in us. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. I do not fear this imaginary place called hell, where there's imaginary torment forever and ever and ever. You cannot scare me into the kingdom unless you can demonstrate to me in some way. I don't even know how it's be possible that hell is real. But the answers I'm giving right now to that very nice question, to the donation, bothers Christians, because they know they're defeated and powerless at this point. They know there's nothing they can say or do, because deep down they know, with let's say 99% confidence, that what I ask to change my mind won't happen. O ye of little faith. It says in the Gospel of John that you will do greater things than Jesus. And here I'm asking you to repeat what Jesus did. Thank you for another gracious donation. Why should God show you a direct miracle? Who has the authority to tell God what to do? This is another common complaint I get, Arabian Princess, that I'm demanding. I'm not demanding at all. I'm saying this is what will change my mind. If I don't see it, if it's not demonstrated to me, my mind won't be changed. If God doesn't want to do it, he's free not to do it. But there's going to be consequences of God not doing this for me, and that is I won't believe in him. Done. No problem. And when someone says, who has the authority to tell God what to do? I'm not telling God what to do. I'm saying this is what would change my mind, and I can even ask Christians to ask on my behalf. Arabian Princess, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, it doesn't matter. Ask your God to do this for me. Pray. And if you're hesitant to even pray to your God to do this for me, what's wrong with you? Why wouldn't you even ask on my behalf? Is it a sin to ask God for a miracle? Is that a sin? Is there any Christian wanting to come on to me right now and declare for the world that it's a sin to ask God for a miracle? If that's a sin, then I urge you, Christians, to go to a children's hospital with Christians in there, with Christian kids dying of cancer or whatever, and saying, you're sinning to ask God to, how dare you demand of God to heal your child? What authority do you have to tell God what to do? This is what you sound like, Arabian Princess, even though you've graciously donated to me now $20. I feel like a gigolo. I feel like I'm your escort and you paid me money and I'm disappointing you with my services. But you'll get over it. Like Arabian Princess, you're throwing a softball up to me and I'm just hitting these out of the park. And I understand that you feel helpless, or may feel helpless right now, because you realize your hands are cuffed. And you basically have to just walk away from me at this point and say there's no hope for Doug because of your lack of faith, your lack of trying to ask God on my behalf for these types of miracles and demonstrations, because you don't really believe God can do this. Maybe you're a cessationalist. Maybe you don't think God acts this way anymore. Well, if that's the case, I mean, I feel sorry for you.
Basically.
Hey, Kyle. It's going well.
So I've been catching up on your videos. In the last couple, maybe from 2 weeks ago, you were questioning why you were still doing this, why you were still live streaming and talking to Christians about their beliefs.
Yeah.
And I think, especially today, I think it's really clear to me that it's because you're good at it and you know how to compartmentalize their arguments. And I think, I don't know if this will help or anything like that, but I don't think looking at it as dismantling their arguments, it's not going to solve anything on their end. Like Japheth or Rookin, Pawn in the chat, or Arabian Princess, you're not going to undermine their belief. They're solid in their belief, but I don't know how you have the analytics, I'm sure, on how many rewatches you get, but you get plenty of rewatches, and from what I can see. And
yeah, I would say 10 to 20. I would say minimum 10%, and probably closer to 20% of all of my views come from Christians, and maybe 5 to 10% Muslims, depending on the topic. But yeah, Christians are listening, and even though Arabian Princess asked those questions, she heard my answers, and I think deep inside her, she understands what I'm saying. And she just I think she knows that it would even raise her confidence seeing something like that. But I don't think, believes that it will ever happen.
I don't think I don't know what she thinks. She's not here to say, but
you're welcome to come on, Arabian Princess.
Yeah, I even added her and said go and talk, because we want to hear what she has to say and hear what you have to say back. But there, of the 20% Christians, 10% Muslims, there's got to be 3 or 4% who are kind of where Randall Rouser is. They're not certain about certain passages. They're not certain about where they are in whatever walk of faith they have. And these videos, even if there's times where it feels like there's just everything's been said, and every argument's been laid out, and it doesn't really matter if you say it 1,000 times, it's not going to get through to the person that you're talking about. You're planting seeds in whatever gardens they have of their self-doubt, and
yeah,
eventually some of them are going.
And I have to keep reminding myself that, and I understand people don't want to go back and watch all my videos, and so it's repetitive to me, but it's not to many viewers, because some of them are hearing it for the first time. Like, I just went through the real problem of evil, and there's probably going to be one or few Christians in here who've never really heard it put that way before, and I got to remind myself of that.
And I think that was the other point I was going to make, is that you're 100% right. Especially because I started watching you 2 years ago. You're the only atheist content that I watch now.
Careful, Myth Vision's listening. He's here in the chat.
I actually like Myth Vision. You turned me on to him. I've watched.
Some of his, where's my kickback, Derek? Where's my kickback?
You should be asking for money. They're both great. Really like a lot of Myth Vision's interviews, especially with Price, and yours as well.
Don't say that word now.
Yeah, a little controversial. But I think it's important to talk about controversial topics, and I think that's something that we don't really do in our day and age. I think you're right about the cult of my feelings. Don't hurt my feelings, which I think is one of the reasons why I still listen to your stuff and not a lot of the other atheist stuff, because it's kind of
there's not too many. Well, I'd say there's 20 to 30% of atheists like me.
Yeah, I think I'd count myself in you're a little bit more on the conservative spectrum on some things, but I think you and I are pretty aligned, generally speaking.
So were you a Christian at one point?
No, I've never believed.
Oh, you're a unicorn.
I am. My mom and dad were pretty laissez-faire about kind of allowing us to get our own education on these sorts of things. I think my dad is Catholic. I just went and visited him back home. He's dying of some blood cancer now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I'm sorry. It's okay. Death it comes for us all. But no escape. And just sitting in the hospital, religion was just never a topic that he liked talking about. But sitting in the hospital with him as they gave him a couple of blood transfusions to bring him, back to stability so he could just be at home. He was talking about the afterlife, and you can't sit there and go, well, no, that doesn't really exist. That, they're dying. It's anything that gives them hope. But I have a twin brother, and I watched him go from Wiccan to Methodist to Catholic, and finally out of his faith. And he's unequally yoked. His wife is Baptist. And I think just watching him and his friends sort of walk through that path, it just never seemed to. It just seemed so weird that people would want you to believe in something that you can't see. I never had that feeling. I didn't even know that there were other people who had that until I was about 23 and I moved out to Arizona. I never met another atheist, so I really was a unicorn.
So what's the meaning of life if there's no God for you?
I think you have to make your own meaning.
I know, and I'm asking you.
I don't think
what's your meaning?
You're asking me what my particular.
Yeah, I don't care about anybody
is?
Right now but you. It's all about you, Kyle.
Oh. Well,
don't you feel warm and fuzzy inside?
Sure. I think living to help others is really big in where I'm at now. Just lessening suffering for people. I think that's a good reason to continue going. And I mean, what other choice is there really at the end of the day? You could kill yourself, but I mean, you're just taking yourself out of the game. So you can either live as long as you can and I need to lose the weight, but be as healthy as you can.
I can help with that.
Or you're doing great. I've actually started kind of following your diet. I actually I got a nutritionist and we're working on it. But yeah, I think really that maybe that's a bit nihilistic, but you don't have a choice. I mean, the choice is live as long as you have and fill yourself with anything that's meaningful to you, or kill yourself and take yourself out of the game. And I've been in those situations. I've had suicidal ideation before. So,
are you married?
And I'm not married. No.
Okay. No. Any siblings?
Yeah, I have a twin brother.
Oh yeah, you said that.
We don't really speak. He went really far deep into the QAnon conspiracy stuff for a couple years. But we spoke when I was in Ohio, and
you don't speak with your twin brother because it leads to fights, or
yeah, he's bipolar and he was not on his medication for a really long time. And I don't know if you've ever dealt with anyone who's bipolar, but especially during their manic states, they can be pretty aggressive. So yeah, it was easier to distance myself while he was still kind of hurting himself. It was hard to see him, not taking the meds and doing what was right for him.
Is he your identical twin or fraternal?
No, we're fraternal. I'm 5'3", and you can see what I look like, and he's 6'2", blonde, blue-eyed.
Oh, you're like the movie Twins.
Very, very different. Very different.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and you're DeVito. I'm sorry to say.
And DeVito, yeah. I mean, I love him. He sent me a couple years. Really, the final thing that I was like, okay, I can't talk to you when you're like this. He sent me a 13-page text message of
Oh
just.
my goodness.
I honestly had to call my parents to see if he was having a schizophrenic break from reality.
Well, I don't know.
and-
Because I've gotten emails, not texts, but emails like that from Christians before. But let me make a public service announcement to all Christians listening, and even atheists listening. Don't send long emails. Stop it. Don't do
Thank
it.
you.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to talk to someone, if you have a lot to say, go out for coffee, face to face. It's way more efficient, way better, because you can see, facial expressions and so forth. When I see a long text, a long comment, or a long email, I only read the first few sentences, and you're done at that point. So why waste all your time and energy for something that's probably not going to be read?
I read all of it.
Oh, you did? Good for you.
Oh yeah, because I just every page was just like he accused me of wanting him to have kids so that I could be happy, and I was like, I don't even know where we've never talked about kids. I went to his wedding and was happy for him to be married. Just all sorts of just random, like it wasn't even stuff that we'd ever talked about. So I was like, who are you really sending this to? Like, did you send this to the wrong person? And then at the end, there was a couple things that he said that I was like, okay, no, he's actually.
Well, I want to encourage you to keep the relationship with your brother alive, and maybe try to be dead inside and not care about too much about things you disagree with him on, and just have a relationship. I think it would be good for him. And
yeah, I think you're right. Like I said, I love him. Blood is thicker than water.
Yep.
All I said, I sent him back a message. It was just, I love you. You're my brother. If you ever need a kidney or anything, I'm always here for you. And then I called my mom and I was like, you need to go and check on him, because he sent this huge, crazy screed, and turns out he had been drinking, and drinking on his medication just causes him to go nuts. And he stopped taking his meds again for a while, according to my mom, because he just wanted to drink. So I'm really worried for him, because that's a clear sign of alcoholism. If you have to drink every day and you can't, then that's the end.
I don't think I got the drinking gene, because there was a period there where I drank a lot, and then with my diet, I've been on it for 50 days now. Haven't missed alcohol a bit, so it's really hard for me to get addicted to things other than maybe nicotine, and that's the worst. But anyhow, I gotta let you go. I got someone else on here.
Absolutely, it was great talking to you. And I'll call again sometime.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, not you.
Yeah, the slow talker eats.
Oh no. Okay, I gotta practice.
By the way, last time Derek tried to call to speak to me, but I think you cut me off, so he didn't manage to speak to me. I called some of his guests quacks. So if Derek by chance calls
Which
up,
guests have you called quacks?
allow him on to speak to me. Don't throw me off. Anyway, I phoned up. I called. I heard you say something about what it would take for you to believe. And
you're Muslim, right?
I know. And from an Islamic perspective, I know that you said Muslims don't talk too much about miracles, but
right, that's true, right?
Reasons why is, one of the reasons why is the Quran itself. I think chapter 6:158 says. Let me read this. What?
Read it in Aramaic so I can understand it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Unfortunately, I'm one of the millions of the majority of Muslims who don't speak Arabic.
Okay.
Let alone Aramaic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Are they waiting for the very angels to come to them, or your Lord Himself, or maybe some of His signs? But on the day some of your Lord's signs come, no soul will profit from faith if it hadn't not had faith before, or has not already earned some good through its faith. say to them, wait if they wish, if you wish, we too are waiting. So we're all waiting for the day of judgment when everything will be revealed. If we ask for a sign now, by the way, the quote is finished. So if we ask for a sign now, a miracle, and it happens, that's it. Your time on earth has ended. You will be judged from that time.
What if I see a miracle, I'm going to die? Is that what you're saying?
Well, faith, to have faith in, to have faith is.
Can you just answer my question? If what I heard you to say that if I see a miracle, my time has come.
I'm not sure whether you're going to die, but it's like your time has run out. It's
doesn't that sounds like death to me?
Yeah, it sounds like death as well. But the chances, your chance of arriving at pondering, to have thought, to use your reason, to struggle for
do you think I've
the truth.
Do you think I've used my thought and reasoning to come to the conclusion that Islam is false?
I don't know. You have definitely used your reason. You are using your rationale.
So I've already done that.
I don't know how you might have. I don't know whether you like philosophy. You do pose philosophical questions. Well, some of the best Muslims to speak to on this issue is 3 chaps on Thought Adventure podcast. I don't know whether you've talked to them.
Yeah, I have. We talked about the problem of evil, if memory serves.
It ends up kind of a. You've got your approach, they've got their approach. Both sides have got advantages, strong points, strengths, and I'm sure that the debate will continue. But anyway, one of the reasons why Muslims don't ask for an immediate miracle is because if we ask for the miracle to be shown to us, then the Quran telling us to ponder, to reflect, to use our reason.
But isn't there some?
There'll be no point.
Like, don't you believe the God Allah made the moon split in two?
Do you know?
Yes or no?
The majority of you, there is a difference of opinion. Most Muslims today will say yes.
Hey,
it happened.
You would know.
Others will the scholarly view. The scholarly view.
Hang on, no,
of the past.
No, stop, please. This is so painful for me.
It's painful because the Quran doesn't actually say it.
What do you believe is the best?
The Quran doesn't actually say it in those words.
I feel like booting you. Like, this is how painful it is. What do you?
I know you feel like booting me because you've heard from other Muslims that definitely we should believe that the moon has been split.
Do you?
But the Quran doesn't say that.
Do you personally believe the moon was split in two in history? I don't care about what scholars say. I care about what you believe.
The Quran doesn't say that the moon was split.
So are you saying you do not believe the moon was split?
I don't know in history. I don't know if the Quran says it.
I didn't ask you for your knowledge. I'm not asking to. I'm asking you, do you believe the moon was split in two in history? Lean yes or lean no?
What if I give you an agnostic approach, which a lot of atheists
So you're exactly.
They say, I don't know.
You're exactly 50-50 on that.
Yeah, if the Quran said it clearly, I'd believe it. Otherwise, there is a chance that it was.
You're saying if the Quran said it clearly, you'd believe it, but the Quran doesn't say it clearly, right?
It doesn't say it.
So you don't believe it.
But it could have been. It could have been a vision. It could have been something like the crucifixion.
Right, but I'm using your own words. If the Quran said clearly that the moon split in two, you'd believe it, but the Quran doesn't say the moon split clearly, so you don't believe it. Is that correct?
I can't say one way or another because it could. The way it explains it, it could have been a mass hallucination, or it could have been an actual splitting. So take your pick. Whatever it was a sign for the people of the time.
So you're completely agnostic about it?
I don't know.
You don't know if you're agnostic?
The Quran doesn't actually. The answer is I am agnostic about it because I don't know. I know that there are two scholarly opinions. Now, if you want to go to the Hadith, yes, it was split. If you want to go to the Quran itself, there are two views. The scholars have disagreed.
Why don't you?
Some say it was a sign for the people of the time. For
May
example,
I ask
with the
why
crucifixion.
why you doubt the Hadith?
Because in Islam, the classical view is certainty only exists with Quran, and Hadith is good enough.
Okay, if the Hadith is good enough, why don't you believe if the Hadith says that the moon split in two, why don't you believe it then?
Because I get certainty from the Quran, and the way the scholars
you can have beliefs
it, there are
you can have positive beliefs about things without being certain on it. So do you believe that the moon is split in two or not? I'm not asking for certainty.
I'll tell you, it's either.
Sorry? I'm not asking you, are you certain the moon was split in two? I'm asking, do you lean towards the moon splitting or not? Do you believe it?
It appeared that way.
It appeared that way, but didn't?
I don't know. It appeared that way.
Similarly with the
crucifixion.
Is the Hadith?
Can I just talk about the crucifixion? A lot of people would accuse Muslims of saying.
I want to stick on this for a little bit longer because I'm hearing you conflicting. You're conflicted, I think, because you said that the Quran gives you certainty and the Hadiths are pretty good, or good enough. You said
they are good enough. Yeah.
So if the Hadiths are good enough, and if the Hadiths say the moon actually literally split in two, why don't you believe it then? If they're good enough as a source of information,
because it might have been it appeared that way for the people of the time.
Okay, and did some people?
They might have seen it as though.
Didn't some people at the time who, at least I've heard this from some Muslims, didn't that cause some people to become Muslim because they saw it?
Yeah, if you see something which you consider to appear.
Okay, so maybe Allah needs to do that for me. Not a literal split in the moon, but make it appear to me that it splits in two, and maybe I'll become Muslim then. How's that?
The time of prophets, of miracles have passed.
Oh, you're a Muslim cessationist.
Although you can ask for them. You can ask God for whatever you want. But if you ask for something that in the Quran, God says He will not break His laws, and that one of the laws is the laws of nature.
I understand. I've heard this so many times. So because there are a lot of similarities between Islam and Christianity when you were just talking about God the Father versus Allah. Does it bother you when you hear me say things like, I'm not going to change my mind on this until I see a demonstration like someone being raised from the dead or my water soaked napkin, and I don't believe hell exists. I don't believe it's real. Does this bother you when you hear that?
No, I understand why you ask for them. I understand.
But does it make you feel defeated?
Maybe when I was a boy. No, I understand what you're saying, because when I was a boy, I would have wanted the signs as well.
But even with the Quran,
the Quran itself says that if you want the angels to come,
whenever you say the Quran itself, you do understand. Well, let me ask you: do you understand that that's meaningless to me?
Well, if you're not going to engage with the Quran, then there's no point talking about it or talking about Islam or talking.
You're great.
About
you
Muslims.
Got it right. So from now on, when you're talking to...
So why address Muslims?
From now on, when you talk to me about what would change my beliefs and you start saying, well, the Quran says, you now understand that that's totally a waste of time, right?
Okay, then if you no longer mention Muslims, then we'll be okay.
Whoa. What do you mean mention Muslims? What's the problem here?
Because Muslims, their reference points for certain knowledge is Quran.
Okay, but
so don't talk about Muslims.
No, but these are
if you don't want to know about the
Quran. Are two different issues. We're talking about what would convince me, what would change my mind, versus doing an internal critique about the book of the Quran. Those are two different things. Like I can critique the Quran.
If you're talking to Christians, fine, bring that argument, because in their book, any normal Christian who has faith will be able to do more miracles than Jesus himself. That's what the book says.
Yeah, I agree.
So bring it to Christians. But to Muslims, if you're going to talk to Muslims and want a miracle from God, the Muslim will answer in this sort of way. If you want a miracle, if you want the angel to come behind you and tap you on the back, or you want God himself to appear, or if you want something like this, then your time is up.
Okay, and then that's fine. We just walk away from each other.
Yeah,
the conversation's over.
The conversation with Muslims is over.
Yep.
Have the conversation with Christians.
Oh, I do.
Or with Hindus, or whoever else believes that miracles, you can ask God for a miracle.
Right.
And it will appear, and the laws of nature will be
But I
broken.
can still go on my YouTube channel, right, and say things like, the Quran's a man-made book, has nothing to do with the deity.
Yeah, fine. That's good. And I also like the way that you refer to Muslims don't talk about miracles. Maybe this is why, so you kind of did rule us out by saying we don't talk about miracles, and so it might not apply to the Muslim understanding. So
yeah, I said that.
In that respect, I applaud you and continue. So I just wanted to mention that, why Muslims don't really push the miracle aspect, although they wouldn't deny miracles do happen, but it would be such a break with the laws of nature. And God says, and Allah says in his book that
can I ask you something?
Laws, and he doesn't break them.
Like, do you really, really think that some of the arguments that you've given and Muslims give for the Quran being the word of Allah, do you really think that resonates with non-Muslims?
Well, with some, those who understand the nature of maybe preservation of let's say scriptures, maybe that will resonate with them. Why the Quran is better preserved. That in itself,
like, what would be the demographic, or what would be the character traits of someone who you think would resonate with, like the miracle of the Quran? Like, I'll give my answer first. I think only someone who was born and raised in that culture, maybe not like a solid Muslim or anything, but just in that culture, it would resonate more because some of their friends are Muslims. Maybe some of their families Muslims. Someone who's desperate, who's had addictions and problems, and they need a life change, it will resonate more. But a stable guy like me, they're going to hear every argument that a Muslim would give for the Quran and go, no disrespect, but it's like chaff. It's like air. It's worthless. Do you get that?
I understand.
Okay, perfect.
It's a pity that you didn't continue your conversation with Hamza in Hamza's den.
Oh, he banned me, I think.
That was a fantastic conversation you had with him, because he himself was a businessman in England. He had a business with his father. He was in finance. He was in interest, mortgages. He dealt with interest. He was moving up in the world. He wasn't a criminal. He was going up. But
he had friends who were Muslims.
He had friends who were Muslims. Yep. He himself never drank. He didn't drink. That was his own personal choice. But he would never become a Muslim because he saw his Muslim friends, and he thought they were hypocrites because they weren't praying. They were drinking alcohol. They were doing had girlfriends. He had a girlfriend. He had 2 children. He didn't get married, but he saw his friends around him, Muslim friends, all hypocrites. So there's no way he would become a Muslim. He was financially stable. Then something happened in his life. He looked into Islam, decided it was the right way for him, and from that day on, everything went downhill.
Yeah,
in terms of finances.
I understand.
He lost his girlfriend. lost his children. He's told his father, I can't deal in this business anymore. I can't deal with interest. His father didn't speak to him for years. His girlfriend wouldn't become a Muslim.
But I bet you
didn't speak to him for years. He lost his children.
Hang on.
And he moved away. He went to live with his and this happened, believe it or not, a few days after.
You're starting to bloviate. Nobody can hear you right now because you, like, whenever you talk for more than 30 seconds, I will, like, you gotta dude, it's like ping pong, right? You're still talking. You know, nobody can hear you right now, not even me. When you start talking more than 30 seconds without me having a chance to talk, I will silence you. Not if you understand. You understand? Okay, I've heard Hamza's story, and I get the impression that he believed in hell even before he became a Muslim. And so he had this picture. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You're saying no. But it doesn't matter. I think he already had some view of an all-powerful God existing before he chose Islam. Am I wrong?
Am I muted
Nope.
still? He was actually an atheist. He thought Christians were Bible-bashing lunatics. He thought Muslims were hypocrites. He was a very practical man. He
got it. All you have to say is an
white.
atheist, and I got it. Okay, so I'm wrong. That's fine. I'm wrong about that. Now, the question is, or the reason why you brought up Hamza is because you're saying here's an...
Not sure he was an atheist. He had no religion.
Oh, so you're not sure he's an atheist. So maybe I am right.
He wouldn't classify himself as anything. Most people today in England don't classify.
Yeah, he was a
themselves
person
as
who just
anything.
didn't care. But I
Didn't care.
My guess is he still had this idea in his head. But your main point was that Hamza is not like the typical person I'm describing, as desperate, needing religion to help him with anything. That's fine. Why people choose to become Muslims or Christians or Mormons who weren't previously, those reasons can span a lot of topics and subjects of exactly why. A lot of it's psychology. I do think, though, in Hamza's case, he had friends who were Muslims that he loved, respected, and sure, he might have called...
He thought they were hypocrites. He thought they were all hypocrites.
You can have friends who you love and respect and still call them hypocrites in this one area. And I think 9/11 played a part.
When he became a Muslim.
Right? 9/11 played a part in his conversion?
Well, it happened around that time, I think a few days afterwards.
Yeah.
And he got the brunt. He got a lot of, his family didn't want to speak to him. His father didn't speak to him for 15 years. His wife left, he wasn't married. He had a girlfriend. His girlfriend didn't want to speak with him. Well, his girlfriend didn't want to speak with him because she thought he had become a fanatic of some sorts. How could you become a Muslim after 9/11?
So he became a Muslim before 9/11?
I think before, but 9/11 happened soon after. He had a conversation with he had a long conversation with his girlfriend, lasted a few weeks. She said, no way am I going to follow you in this decision. So they separated. He lost all
we heard this already.
With his two daughters. His father didn't speak to him for 15 years. It's just a pity you didn't continue that conversation.
Yeah, well, whenever Hamza's den talks with atheists, you know what they talk about, right? First thing they go to?
Well, you had a long chat, and they do try to convert you. They try to. Well, Hamza's den is.
But do you remember what we talked about?
What you believe, and they pick at it. They try to pick the bones off you.
But do you remember what we talked about?
You talked about so many things. It was about an hour's conversation.
Not really. It was all in one general topic.
About suffering. You talked about suffering. You talked about The creator could exist.
It was all the top-down stuff. It was philosophy first. We didn't even talk about the Quran.
Well, that's how. To talk about the Quran, you first have to accept the idea of a God. If you don't accept the idea of a God, there's no point in talking about the Quran.
That's where I disagree.
Okay.
See, to me, I'd rather go the other way around, because if Allah is real and not just a figment of your imagination or some other people's, then Allah can do miracles. And who cares what the hadith?
Yes.
Who cares what the Quran says?
But we consider everything a miracle. We consider everything.
But that's foolishness. You consider me drinking this water a miracle? Of course you do. But
not really. That's just or any animal could do that. Speaking is a sign.
If Allah is real, if Allah is all powerful, if Allah can do miracles, he can do what I require for me to change my mind. If he doesn't do it, that's fine. If there is a hell, I'll go there and take my punishment like a man. That's it.
Okay.
Right?
Speak to you another time, Pinecreek.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye-bye.
By the way, what the last thing I said really resonates with Muslims if you ever talk to them. Tell them that you're willing to take your punishment like a man, because they like this idea of responsibility and justice. And they'll say, okay, your free choice, you're done. But they have to, in my opinion, have some type of self-awareness that any argument about the Quran being the word of a deity because of Muhammad wouldn't lie, he wasn't crazy, so therefore it must be true. I mean, come on. This is the same argument Christians give, the trilemma argument for Jesus. But our evidence is so much better, Doug. Yeah, come on. The Christians think their evidence is better than yours. When are you guys going to wake up? When are the Christians and the Muslims both going to wake up that you just have a book that you think, or several books that you think are from a God and really are not? But then I lose my hope, meaning, and purpose, Doug. Then there might not be a heaven and a hell, and I do want some people to go to hell, and I really do want to go to heaven and get my 72 virgins or whatever. Come on. There's no good reason to think any of that stuff is true. How do you falsify an afterlife, for goodness sake? Well, we got near-death experiences, Doug. Come on. Oh my goodness. Where does this end? I have the patience of the saint. Well, no, I had to cut him off. Yeah, philosophy is a good tool to use to discuss fiction. It's like, I'm sitting in my chair right now, and I'm imagining a perfect being. This perfect being would only exist if existence was part of his perfection. So this perfect being must exist. I'll call this the ontological argument for God. That's how philosophy works. What's my diet? My diet's 90% proteins and fats, 10% carbs, 1,000 calories a day. You stay hungry and you fight through the pain. But if you eat hardly any carbs, your hunger pains go down. That's true. So it's not as bad as you think. But you beat your body. So I learned this from the Christians. You beat your body and you make it your slave. You say, no, stomach, get ye behind me, you Satan. You don't need a cheesecake right now. You need a steak. You take that steak. You take that cow. You take that steer. You strangle it. Let it bleed out real slow. Oh no, the vegans have just left. No, you cannot show off your history database. Nobody likes databases. No, this pen's only for me. Wait, that's right. I'm accurate. This is what philosophers do. Like, infinite regress. I can't imagine time being any different than it is now and going back forever. Therefore, yeah, a disembodied mind that's outside of time. Yeah, that's it. I'll call this the cosmological. No, I'll call it the Kalam cosmological argument because I'm Muslim. And you know, like everybody needs a starting point. You can't ask questions in infinite regress. So, what's a good starting point? How about a disembodied mind? Yeah, that's it. Disembodied minds is a good precondition for intelligibility. Oh, hang on, it went out. Yeah, I gotta buy a pipe. I should use that Christian's money, that Coptic Christian's money, to buy a pipe, so I can really play the part. Like, you know, dog, being an atheist is irrational. Don't you want to be rational and consistent? But I'm down 20 pounds in, I don't know, 50 days. Is it 50 already? Oh my goodness. I only got 20. No, it's 90-day challenge. I got 40 days left, lots of time. I want to try to get in the 160s. I'll be like, I'll look gaunt. Everybody's going to think I'm dying of cancer. People are going to say, Doug, eat some carbs. Eat a loaf of bread, why don't you? You're looking gaunt. You haven't eaten in 44 hours? You know, whenever I go to the restaurant now, when the waiter comes, I say, look, man, I haven't eaten for 30 hours. Capiche? And then I'll leave a 20% tip when the food comes out quickly. 145. Yeah. Eat a loaf of bread, Travis. Let's talk about what some things the Christians got right. What did the Christianity get right? I think the practice of fasting is not bad. It makes you hunger, and being hungry is not always bad. So I kind of like fasting. I think, I'm going to really peeve off people now. You ready? Hang on to your shorts, everyone. I think Christianity got the relationship between men and women kind of right when it talks about that men will rule over women and women will want to that the desire of the woman before the man. The people who wrote that are looking at the world around them and seeing evolution. They're seeing that women want a strong man to provide for them so they can have kids. So they don't want like a goofy a man who will like cause them problems, and they want a stable, strong man that can provide and protect to help propagate the species. And a man basically just wants coitus. That's it. And so that's why in the Christian Bible it says that for men to love their wives and for women to submit. Submit is more like respect. So I think that natural evolutionary dynamic the Christian authors got right. And it's just through observation. Men don't need actually their wives to or women to love them. If you're a woman here and you've hearing this for the first time, I probably have just blown your dress off. But men tend to want to be respected, and women tend to want to be loved. Raise your hand if I've upset you yet? Yeah, men like stuff more so than women. Women like people more so than men. I don't think the Bible talks about that, though. But now in the year 2022, when women can make, and I think, no, not yet, but when women can make more money than men, then this whole provider protector thing kind of goes out the window. What else did the Bible get right? That's about it. About to get canceled, Doug. I've heard that so many times, Finhammer. What does that even mean? Your wife loves stuff? Well, okay. When I say men like stuff and women don't as much, that excludes shoes. That's just a given, right? No, it doesn't go out the window, Jimbo, but what I mean is it lowers the impact. It lowers the need a woman has for a man. Because remember, why would a woman want a man if she can make more money than him, doesn't desire kids? And that's the thing. How many women are out there like that? Like, really, why do you need a man? And I guess the converse can be asked of men. Like, why do men need women? If you don't want kids or coitus. Well, even if you want coitus, like, now, if you're talking about companionship, a man can get companionship for probably better from other men than a woman because they understand each other better. So really, it's about coitus and kids. See, a man, this is going to shock some people also as well, but men can't be pregnant and have kids. Only real women can. Yeah, I said it. And even some real women can't have kids either. I mean, some are infertile. Does my wife agree with this? I think so, because she agrees with the Bible. I used to get myself in trouble when I was a Christian at Sunday school or adult Sunday school. When I said, okay, imagine a woman who's a doctor, a surgeon, makes like $300,000-$400,000 a year at least, and she falls in love with a bum on the street. And this bum on the street is a Christian, but is illiterate, basically illiterate. Still Christian, and she's a Christian. They get married. They're equally yoked. They're both Christians. But the bum can't read, doesn't know anything about the Bible really, other than that Jesus came to save him from his sins. And the woman's like very well versed in the Bible. They have kids. Who should be the spiritual leader? Who should open up the Bible at supper time and read from the Word? Who should talk about theology? Isn't that interesting, that little thought experiment? See, the Bible teaches that the man is the head of the woman, just like Christ is the head of the church. But here we have a situation where it's obvious the skill set of the woman exceeds the skill set of the man in every dimension. How in the heck can the man lead the family in areas that he's completely ignorant of? Well, the wife needs to teach the husband how to read, I guess. Women can teach in the home, of course, to the kids. But in the church, anyhow, Paul makes it clear that women should not teach men. Because, now here's the reason. This is why it's not cultural. Women should not teach men in the church because Eve was created for Adam, not the other way around. The only reason why you women exist is for men like me to help me, according to Christianity and Judaism and Islam. It wasn't Paul speaking. It was the Lord God speaking through Paul. Man, you atheists, you just don't get it. You don't understand that this is the Word of God. So, but I do get mad at atheists a little bit when they just randomly say to women who may come on my live stream or other people's live streams, you be quiet, you're a woman, because your scriptures say, no, this only applies within the church context. So you atheists, stop this. And even then it's fuzzy because this is how churches get around this. This is how there's tons of churches who have women worship leaders in the United States. And you know how they get around it? They say, sure, they're teaching people how to worship. And yes, they're a woman, but Doug, don't worry. The head worship leader at the conference is a man, and she's under his authority. So it's all fine. But then sometimes you will have a woman who's the conference worship leader. And you know how they get around that? They'll say, yes, the head conference leader is a woman, but don't worry. There's a man ahead of her who she falls under his authority. So they just keep pushing it up the ladder. True story. I've been there. I've seen it. Oh, someone needs marital advice. Relationship advice. Hey, Pinecreek, I think my friend is in love with me, but he's Catholic and has a girlfriend. I'm not touching that one. Tell him to get away from you until he's resolved things with his girlfriend. You don't understand women, so that's my problem. Well, what's the saying? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. Oh yeah, female callers can come in. In fact, would love a Christian female caller to come in and talk about this whole role of women in the church. Anywhere can be the church, Doug. The church is people, not a place. That's true. So the Bible study at someone's home, that's true. Same applies. But when I say church setting, I mean small c. No, C, big C, capital C. Sorry. Like the edification of believers. But if you're in a situation, let's say you're a woman, a Christian, and you're at a conference for work and you're teaching men how to use a database, of course that doesn't apply. Women can teach but not lead in a church is what I thought the hierarchy. No, women cannot have any authority over a man. Full stop. And that includes teaching. What else does it include? I remember one time I was in a church and I asked the question of the pastor, deacon, elder, whatever. Well, if women can't have authority over men in the church, why do we let them vote? That's the ultimate authority in some churches where they allow voting. Right? Are we allowing women to vote and decide who becomes our next lead pastor? And let's say the church is 60% women, 40% men, which some churches are. Women control who their leaders are. They have authority over their leaders because they vote them in or out. So if you're a church who believes that women should not have authority over men because the scripture says so, you better not allow women to vote in your church. Don't be like Randall Rouser and these progressive type Christians. You know, put the hammer down. Take a stand for truth. Yeah, I'm not sure what Rebecca's view is on Paul. I'm sure it probably bothers her. Yeah, maybe married men should just get a double vote. That might fix the problem. And we all know in Christian circles, wives will just vote like their husbands anyhow, right? So maybe it doesn't matter. That's sarcasm. That's facetiousness. Oh, David. David. Where'd your mother and I go wrong with you? Huh?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, Pinecreek. Thanks for having me on, bro. I was listening to your caller. Sorry, I'm taking a walk, so you hear a bunch of cars. I should realize that's probably a bad thing, but you asked the Muslim caller earlier about what he believes, not what the Quran states or to the best of his knowledge, this thing or that thing, what he just believes. And I kind of wanted to share with you, I took that as a challenge to myself to share with you what I believe. And I instead of just going off and telling you what I believe, I thought to first ask you a question regarding the Uvalde situation. And what would you do if you were one of the parents who were trying to help their child and then were prevented by the police, and then your child is now dead?
I'd be furious.
I apologize for that motorcycle noise. I better let me come up the street a little bit.
If my child was about to die and I was prevented from stopping, I'd be furious. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah. So, personally, I think for myself, I might quit my job and become a professional sniper and go after every single one of those people responsible. Now, that's something I might consider, but it's a real thought I've entertained if I was in that situation. And I think every parent would be justified in that feeling. And that kind of goes back to one of the core beliefs that I just have.
But we don't but we don't all act upon our feelings. Like I could agree with you in principle. Right. I would feel that way, but that doesn't mean I would act upon it.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So what I wanted to say first was, I was actually the caller for many, almost like half a year ago, about the guy who became a Christian over his cat.
Yes, I remember. You became a Christian because of a cat.
Yes.
We lost you.
Okay, I just realized I need to keep this tab open. But basically, whenever when you there was a feral cat I was taking care of, and he was recently struck by an Amazon delivery van who was just impatient, and his head was split open, and I was filled with outrage. And it's not just a sense of wrongness about the death, but it's also, there's probably no other way to put it, right? Just holy, well, I don't know what the word is, right? It's just, you're filled with something. And there's something so wrong about death to begin with. And I would just say that that's one of the things that I forget the Bible, forget Quran or whatever. I just think all humans resonate with that very naturally, that there's something absolutely inherently wrong with death. And I think on some level.
Can you think of a counterexample when something's right about death?
I would probably say
you just mentioned it a few minutes earlier.
Oh, the retribution and going after those police.
Justice, yeah. Like if you had a family and someone's breaking into your house, would you feel? And you were convinced that they were going to kill. He was going to kill you and your family. Would you be justified to kill them?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's an example of death not being bad.
Yep. That is true. I guess it's yeah, I would say, yeah, I would agree with you. Let me switch to my other tab real quick to find my other point here, which was.
Well, your first point is that death led you to God because you had this idea of absolute badness from death. But we've kind of put that on the shelf now because we found a good example of death. And you mentioned old age too, suffering.
That's true. And then
so we can throw that reason out in the garbage. No longer use it ever again, right?
I don't know. Right? I thought that I can think about that. But let me hold it in balance. The second point was that and this is what I believe, is just the existence of, and this goes along with point the first point, the existence of moral reasoning, and also the need for justice. And I would say that that's yet another thing. But then the thing that I've been pontificating upon the most was the existence of creation itself, which is just I've been studying these things with fractals, Mandelbrot set, and
this
okay, but it's actually like basically there's a scientist, there's many
no, I don't want to hear about it. I know what you mean.
Okay,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's called the unreasonable efficiency of mathematics. Why would the universe obey?
I got it. So this can.
But anyway, I just wanted to share with you what I personally believe and what I stand on, because I know you wanted to know the person, not the Bible, not the knowledge that they think they've learned.
Okay, I heard you. I heard you. Now I'll just give you my brief response to the 2 points you made. When it comes to death, I think evolution can explain this. We have a propensity, a desire, an innate. You would call it from God, but I call it through genetics, the selfish gene, whatever you want to call it. We have this desire to live. Most of us, not all of us, desire to live. We fear death. We fear non-existence. Mm-hmm. So that explains that. Mm-hmm. And then when you brought up fractals, I think I know where you're going with that. I would say that the mathematical patterns that we see, whether some of it is just us imagining it or not, if it is real, it is just a property of the universe and it is what it is. And to posit that this might be a good idea to say God exists, to me is crazy. And that's that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the more nuanced. I think there's more room for discussion on that. But thank you, Doc.
Okay, take care.
Have a good one.
Fractals. You guys know what fractals are? I always get scared because to me that sounds close to numerology. Ugh. Fibonacci sequences. Ugh. the distance between our eyes and our chin and our mouth, patterns. I see 11:11 on the clock all the time. Therefore, God. Fractals is when math bloviates. I'm impressed. There's very few haters in the live stream chat today. Is there any haters in here that I'm missing? But, you know, what's the hate? I think everybody loves me, right? Even people who want to hate me just can't. They're too weak. They're too weak. They try to hate me and they end up loving me. Yeah, Peter loves me. Jim Bob loves me. That Arabian princess loved me. I need more haters. What can I say to get more haters? I thought I already said something very controversial before that to get some haters, but I don't see any. Yeah, I'm your monkey. You tell me to dance, I'll dance. No one hates you, Doug. They just don't like your brain. Well, for people who don't like my brain, this is what I say.
Hey, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. I was too busy blocking out the haters.
Blocking out the haters. I think Frank Turek even loves me. JG is probably the closest guy who hates me, but even JG, like, come on. If JG, he's listening right now and he's like a little smile on his face, I don't hate Doug. No, I love him. I love Doug so much, even though he's so wrong. I just love him so much. Am I right, JG? I mean, if your name's JG, you know you talk like that. That's true, BS Lewis. Yeah, they don't hate me. They just hate my boss, Satan, who's been sitting very quietly in the corner eating Doritos the whole time. Is it Doritos you're eating? No, it's... Oh, you imported some ketchup chips from Canada. Yeah. Is it Old Dutch ketchup chips? That's tasty stuff, right? I know why you're eating Old Dutch ketchup chips, because it matches your suit. Bright red. Yeah. No, Mike Winger doesn't hate me either. He just thinks I'm lost and hurting and misguided. Pinecreek, can you teach us how to ask questions? Just watch your talk with Taylor, and the rapport and questions you ask are the chef's kiss. Yes, Gomeo, Jomeo, whatever your name is. The way you ask questions is It's different than if you're in your own home versus in someone else's home. I was in someone else's home. I was in Rebecca's home, Bread of Life's home. She has it's her channel, her guest. So you got to be more careful. So watch what I did and watch what Jason Torn did. He was the very first caller. Put them side by side. This is like Bart Ehrman's, like read the Gospels side by side. Look what he did. Look what I did. And you'll see a world of difference. And the difference is you don't care if they say something blatantly wrong in front of your face. You do not. You resist the desire to push back. And all you do is you ask your question, short, one sentence, clear. You hear the answer, and you move on to the next question or follow-up questions that relate to that question. That's it. This is a real struggle, especially for people who are younger, let's say under the age of 40, to be able to hear something that you vehemently disagree with and resist the urge to say, you're wrong, that's stupid or false. You got to resist that. But then the second step is you want to ask questions to get to the epistemology, to get to the root of things. So one of the questions I asked her is, the topic was on, it's impossible for life to come from non-life naturally. I think I asked the question, can someone believe that it's impossible for something from life to come from non-life naturally and be mistaken about it? And how did you determine what's possible and what's not in this field? She answered. And then I asked another simple question that can require a one-word answer, like, do you support abiogenesis research? Because if you truly believe abiogenesis is stupid, naturally, and it can only come from God, then why would you waste taxpayers' money on abiogenesis research? It's a good question. But she said yes because she wanted to laugh at it. Then you thank them for your time and you move on. Yeah, ketchup chips is a real flavor of chip. See, and this is what you got to avoid. Like, do the opposite of what you see most Christians or Muslims do, where they come in, they give a long speech for like 60 seconds, and then ask a question. Like, blah, 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 blah. What do you think of that? And it's loaded with premises and loaded with assumptions that you may or may not agree with. You got to avoid that if you want clear conversations. This is why I absolutely love lean yes, lean no, I don't know type questions. I mean, why are we wasting each other's time? And even then, like, you say a word, communication is so difficult. You say a word, what pops into someone's head might be different what pops into someone else's head. That word might mean two different things to two different people. Communications is like, it's very difficult. Do you love Mike Winger? No, Grays174. I do not love Mike Winger. And I think anybody who says they love Mike Winger, who doesn't know Mike Winger, is being stupido. You should never love people you don't know. So when in Christianity, when God says love your neighbor, if this neighbor is a stranger to you in a way, like he's your neighbor, but you don't know your neighbor, you should not love them. The Bible is wrong there. Now, again, it depends on how you define love. I define love as a deep commitment. I'm not going to be deeply committed to a stranger. That's why I say to you guys, don't love me. Love your spouse. Love your children. You can like me, but don't love me. I don't need your love. And even though I'm a man, I don't need your respect. Because I know who I am. Who are you, Doug? I'm Pinecreek. Say my name. Momo said 9 is fine. Hey, that's a new name I haven't seen. Who's McWeiner? Yeah, you're new here. We go way back. Is there eternal past and eternal future? I think so. In Christianity, there's definitely an eternal future, but they, for some reason, don't like to believe in an eternal past when it comes to material things. But they do believe in eternal things going in the future that are physical. At least some Christians do, because they believe in the new heaven will be here on earth, which is material, at least somewhat. Does your wife know your relationship with Mike Winger? Yes, I think she does. I'm not a two-timing. I'm not a two-timing fool. She knows I've talked to him. She watches Mike Winger's stuff once in a while. I still don't really get the evolution debate. I mean, in terms of how it relates to theology, because it's neither here or there when it comes to Christianity or Islam or Judaism or Hinduism. So why are we talking about evolution? Because even if you say it's impossible, like Tyler said, Tyler? What was her name? Taylor. Impossible for life to come from non-life naturally. That still doesn't get you one step closer to Christianity, because a God could exist, many gods could exist, and say Christianity, well, that has nothing to do with us or me. Does she use Mike's apologetics against me? No. My wife and I, we don't talk about religion. We used to, not anymore. Because I know exactly what she believes and thinks. She knows exactly what I believe and think. So what's there to discuss? Is Doug right, left, or Mike Winger? I lean right politically, if that's what you're asking. Probably center or right. But I do say things like, I think most drugs should be legal. I think people should be allowed to make their own mistakes. I think abortion should be illegal past a certain time frame, which it is in most Western countries. So I'm against abortion. I do think that there becomes a competition between the rights of the mother and the rights of the baby at a certain point, but definitely not an embryo. Come on. Like, that's ridiculous to say that it's morally wrong to throw an embryo down a sink. But it's a human, Doug. Yes, it's a human. I think sometimes it's okay to throw humans down sinks when they're like 5 cells. Yeah, you have my blessing. Unless we're in an apocalypse and there's only like 10 people left on the planet and we really need those embryos, then I'd say, okay, you're bad boy. I love saying things like that in that way because it shocks Christians to say, yeah, it's okay to kill some humans. So what? We do it all the time. But they're innocent, Doug. No one's innocent. Not even the embryo. Don't you know they've been born in sin? I see Jim Bob's trying to expand his channel. Jim Bob, honest question. Are you trying to make money from your channel? Or are you like me? You just find entertainment from it? Because for the record, my channel is not about making money, if you haven't figured that out yet. I am appreciative of donations. I'm appreciative to YouTube that they allow advertising. I'm a free market guy, but I have zero desire to make this my full-time job. Zero. And I'm wondering about that. for you, Jim Bob? Did you want to make this your full-time job? What is my full-time job? I'm a financial analyst. I value businesses for a living. I'm a full-time political cartoonist. I can't rely on YouTube because they can ban me anytime. Yeah, that's exactly right. You shouldn't rely on YouTube. And if you do, you become their slave in a way because they can ban you at any time. It's their platform. So you got to call the execs at Google master. And if you want to earn full-time money from YouTube, you're their slave in a way. How long have I been doing YouTube? Well, you can look on Social Blade. I think it's 2016. Late 2016 I started. But for the record, I have never asked for subs. I've never asked for likes, except for, I think, one time. Never had a Patreon. But if someone wants to give me money, I won't. Actually, I once said someone gave me money, and I said, no, don't give me money. In fact, that person might even be here. But I have the perfect job where I can do YouTube on the side because I set my own hours. August 29, 2016. Yeah, I remember. Okay. August of 2016. Wow. So this August will be 6 years. See, and the thing is, I get a lot of views for the number of subs I have because I think partly is because of my name. Pinecreek is so easy to remember. You don't have to sub to my channel. If you're looking for my content, you just type in Pinecreek and there, boom, you're there. And I think for a lot of theists, Christians especially, they feel guilty subscribing to an atheist channel. Like, oh, I'm not going to support him even with my sub. Because then that makes Yahweh frown. Yeah, I don't ask for love, Peter. Come on, you know. Here's some advice about love. If you desire love too much, you're in trouble. You will make mistakes. You will put yourself in situations that you regret. You have to be content in who you are. I would say the majority of life's problems, the majority of society's problems is due to people desiring to be loved. And I'm thinking about especially women who are willing to sacrifice their bodies to gain love, and then they get pregnant, unwanted baby, guilt from religion to not abort it, unwanted child, grows up fatherless, crime, murder, theft, blah, blah, blah. All stemming from the desire to be loved. Why do you call yourself Pinecreek? Because the farm I was raised in had a creek called Pinecreek in the backyard. Many good memories. Sentimental reasons. I study atheists and agnostics for knowledge on how to deal with them, says Peace Sorrow. Well, come on in and ask me whatever you want. Story of humanity, right? So that's why I think it's very important for the mother and the father in a home to teach their kids that no matter what the world thinks of them, that the parents love them. They don't need to validate or get that love elsewhere, especially from jerks, horrible people who want to take advantage. In other words, self-respect. Thanks for the donation, Mysterious Monolith. Regarding how to ask questions, Atheist Experience has a 60-second timer now for callers. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about asking questions is, and this is tied into this whole love thing. You have to become comfortable in life with the idea that people don't care about you. 99.999% of the Earth's planet, the people in there, do not care about you. Every single person in here, nobody cares about you except for a few people. You have to learn to be comfortable with that. And that leads me to my next point. When it comes to engaging and interacting with people, always keep in mind that the person you're talking to probably does not care what you have to say. I mean, really care. They really don't care about you or what you have to say. So be efficient with your time. Mainly just ask questions designed to get very short answers. And that's it. Once you've mastered that, once you're okay with the idea that nobody cares about you, both who you are and what you have to say, your life becomes so much easier. Why am I more joyful than Matt Dillahunty? Because of that. I think I've learned that. I think Matt's been doing this longer than me, of course, and he's just tired, I think. And what also makes me different from Matt Dillahunty is I think he's replaced one religion for another. Now, have I? Well, maybe, but I think my new religion is very close to me. Like, I'm not proselytizing my poker. Well, I am proselytizing my poker nights, but I have very small communities. Poker night, my family, extended family, that's it. Like, my religion now is to get my kids independent of me, to help them learn from their mistakes. But I think Matt's new religion is, I think, feel sorry for-ism. To be an advocate for certain groups of people. Matt Dillahunty is arrogant, but he can't master his arrogance like Doug. Yeah, you can get away with being arrogant if you're funny. Or if you don't take yourself too seriously. Like, I tried my best to admit when I'm wrong. Or admit when I don't know things. I think Matt's a little less likely to do that. Or he'll try to come up with Like if you watch the debate I had with Trent Horn, and when he was asking me questions, I have there's nothing in me that says I gotta defend myself. I gotta try my hardest not to look stupid. There's nothing in me like that. If someone wants to come and ask me questions where I don't know the answer, I'll say, I don't know. I'll just say I don't know. He was a fundamentalist Christian, Igor. Matt was. Baptist, I think. I was never a Baptist. I was an Anabaptist. ACA is degraded into a political bubble. Yeah, it has. Like, for example, I have there's nothing stopping me from saying trans women are not real women. I can say that. I truly believe that. Trans women are not real women. Now, it depends what you mean by those words. But can you imagine? Matt Dillahunty could never say that. In fact, if Matt Dillahunty was here and heard that right now, he'd leave. He'd just run out the door. He would like... In fact, he did that with the word Oriental the other day. And there's trans women who will say that they're not real women. Like, I don't see what the big deal is. Trans women are trans women. They're not real women like biological women. No, I never had an Amish beard. Mennonites are a little different than Amish. They don't have to have beards like Amish do. Like, I think with Amish and the Hutterites, if you're married, you have to have a beard. I think it's similar to Islam too, right? Is there a Muslim in here? Like, do you have to, if you're married, do you have to have a beard as a sign that you're married? If you say Orientals, I'm leaving. See you, Kevin. I think I've been shadow banned from ACA, never been rude, racist, but I asked the wrong questions. Like, I really feel for trans people. I do. For the real ones. I mean, the ones who really think that in their mind that they're the opposite of what their biology is. I can't imagine what that's like. But that's a whole different thing than admitting, no, you don't have a uterus. No, you can't get pregnant. No, you're not a real woman. Like, I mean, that's just, if a woman means an adult female, like, it's just obvious. And this is what I think society is waking up to, this, realizing you can be compassionate and at the same time don't deny reality. I mean, come on, let's not deny reality here. You grew up with a lot of Hutterites? I did too. I've worked with Hutterites. I used to sell sweet corn as a teenager. I grew my own sweet corn, picked it, and then I said, hey, the Hutterites can do it cheaper than me. So I ended up buying the sweet corn from the Hutterites. I would get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, go pick with them. A whole bunch of women were the pickers. The men would drive the trucks and the loaders. And then I would have breakfast with them, with a whole big table of Hutterites. They all ate together. But Hutterites are great people to know if the apocalypse comes and like you lose all electricity, all energy is gone, and you got to really live off the land. It's very good to know some Hutterites. Like if the shit hit the fan tomorrow, I have places to go where I could get food, shelter, and clothing without going to a store. But don't ask to come with me because, this is for me and my family. You guys are on your own. Yeah, that Ricky Gervais. In fact, I'm going to play that. This whole video will be demonetized now, but I don't care. Yeah, here we go. Oh no, that's... Isn't there some free clips available? This is one...
No, women. I mean the old-fashioned ones.
Oh, yeah, this is it. Like, this got him in a lot of hot water, I think.
No, women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. Those fucking dinosaurs. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as... They're as good as gold. I love them. No, it's the old-fashioned. And now the old-fashioned, they go, oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you fucking bigot.
What makes this funny is because this is what you'll hear people say. It's like they'll be more concerned about the pronouns than the either rational or irrational fears of women who might see a man come in dressed in a dress. Like, it's all about the pronouns.
What if he rapes me? What if she rapes you? You fucking turf whore.
Yeah. To me, that's funny. And I bet you a lot of trans women, even trans men, laugh at that. But it's the people who found their new religion and feeling sorry for people, the ones that are offended more. Fairness in sports with trans women. I like her evaluation. Suzanne Hossenfelder. That sounds like a Hutterite name. In fact, I'm quite sure. Isn't Hosen? It's definitely German. Or Dutch, maybe. No, I haven't seen that. What's the bottom line? What does she say? To me, I just think it's so simple. You just say only biological men in men's sports and only biological women in female sports. Case closed. If that makes some people cry, so be it. Like, it's so simple. And then if you want a third category for trans people, you can do that. Sabine? Yeah. Sabine. Yeah, I know who you mean. They automatically corrected when I typed it in. But I'm the position, yeah, biological men should not be in women's sports at all. Across the board. No exceptions. And again, I don't care if that makes some people cry. You'll get over it. And my reasoning for that is it's not even close. Men, the superiority of men in sports, when you compare like versus like, it's not even close. And this is like the John McEnroe thing, like with Venus Williams. Or Serena Williams. Like, Serena Williams is regarded as the best women's tennis player probably of all time. And she would not even be close. I bet you high school boys could beat her. Maybe that's pushing it. But, I mean, I think Serena even admits that. Let's see if I can find a clip. Oh, I'm definitely going to be demonetized now. Let's see here.
At times, but you have stirred the pot.
So I just wanted to comment on.
Oh, this is I don't want to hear someone else's words. Hey, Waffles.
Shut the fuck up.
What?
No way.
What?
I just can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm sorry. You know, we talked a bit. I sent you a Facebook message like, I don't know, 2 years ago.
Okay.
About chemistry, because I'm a chemistry major.
Oh, I remember you. Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah, analytical versus like, functional chemistry.
So, are you still doing that?
Well, yeah, naturally.
Oh, good for you. And so you're.
Yeah, I got my bachelor's. I finished.
Oh, you did finish. Now
yeah.
what?
Well, yeah, no, I don't know. I'm honestly thinking about going back for my biology degree so I can be a forensic scientist.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I think that's what I've decided on. That sounds like a lot of fun. I agree. Anywho, I can't believe you answered my phone call. I'm sorry. I'm very shook.
Why wouldn't I?
I don't know, because I'm an atheist.
Oh, well, no, I've had a couple of atheists on here already today, so.
No, I know. So I guess, okay, so I just popped in. I actually just went golfing, so I haven't been listening to you. But I popped in and I saw you were talking about like the trans athletic stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what your position was necessarily on this topic. Me personally, I was an athlete in high school, and I'm a female. So to me, it seems pretty obvious that I wouldn't want a trans athlete in such a league. And I didn't know what you thought about such a thing.
Well, yeah, you must have.
Is that terrible of me?
No. You must have missed what I said. Just a few minutes ago, I said, I do not believe if you're a biological male, you should be banned from all female sports. No questions asked, no exceptions. That's that.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. Is that something you get a lot of pushback on?
The people who would push back on me on it are probably not here. They've already ignored me.
Does that mean we're a cult? Are we a cult?
Yeah, maybe in a way, because it's nice to have dissenting opinions, but the whole trans issue is one about believing the interior experience of someone's mind. Like, you can't hook up a machine or take a DNA test to prove that you're trans. It's basically you have to believe, you have to take someone's word for it. And that makes it very dangerous especially when it comes to sports, because if Mike Tyson in his prime all of a sudden said, I identify as a woman, and went into women's boxing, he would kill women.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I think you're going almost too deep on that. Like, I think you could more superficially have the same position. For example, like the example you just brought up, like Mike Tyson saying that he's going to come and be a woman and he's going to box and he's going to kill everybody. Sure. But that implies that he is not necessarily honest.
Right. That's my point.
That's
my point that when it comes to competitive sports, especially one that pays money, it is so easy to lie about being trans.
I guess my point is that you don't even have to lie. Like, even if you're being honest, I would still say that it's not acceptable, but only because that we as a society have decided to discriminate our...
Hey, you're roboting on me. Can you hit the refresh button on...
I'm in a bad area.
Oh, okay. It'll get better.
I might be in a bad area.
Yeah, let's see if it gets better. But my other argument, besides in trans sports that it's so easy to lie, is also that the difference between men and women in most sports is so vast that even if you are
well, exactly.
Yeah, even if you're like a 50% in the 50 percentile in men's sports, you'd be in the top 2 percentile in women's sports.
No, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, it doesn't even matter if you lie or not. Like the Mike Tyson thing. Even if he was lying, it doesn't matter. So like, even if you're not lying, I guess I should put it that way. If you're not lying, because I'm not. I think trans people exist. Like, I believe that there are trans women out there that are women that want to play sports, and I understand that, but I don't think that changes like my point. My whole point is that we already discriminate sports based off of gender, and we do that for a very specific reason, and that specific reason is that men overpower women in sports.
Yeah.
And so even if you're lying, I don't care. Like, you could pretend to be a trans woman and I still say that you're not conducive to women's sports.
Yeah, I agree. It's just simple. Like, to use biology. You have a penis, you go here. If you don't, you go there.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I played sports in high school, like I said. Like, I couldn't imagine one of the boys in my basketball group deciding that they're a woman and playing with us. They would crush us. I mean, crush us. Even at 16, they would crush us.
Yeah. The interesting thing, interesting part is when you start talking intersex, like, because you really don't know.
That would be more like, I would imagine that would be more biological. You know what I'm saying? Because you have intersex that could maybe lean, I don't know if this is even a thing, but my whole thinking would be they lean female or lean male.
Yeah, and
like, they're intersex, but they lean one way or they lean.
But the question is, like, what's the gauge you use to determine which way they lean? And you just go by body size? Like, because there's that one, like, she's in women's sports. I forget her name. Starts with an S. But you just look at her as a pattern-seeking mammal. You can tell she's more man-like than woman-like. And
okay, so here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
What is that line that you're talking about? Do we differentiate this based off testosterone? Do we do it based off muscle mass?
Yeah.
Or oxygen capacity? Like, I don't know for sure. My guess would be testosterone, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's not just one thing. It's like a combination of things. Like, men tend to be bigger in every area and have more lung capacity and have more fast twitch muscle fiber and more testosterone.
Well, but here, theoretically, why? There's got to be a reason why somebody who is determined male at birth, they have these advantages. So if we could pinpoint the reason why, then that could be the differentiating line.
Yeah, I think it's probably testosterone is the main factor.
I think so too, but I don't know enough about the whole topic to say.
And if you look in women's sports, the women who dominate, it's the women who probably have the most testosterone in their bloodstream.
Yeah, I've heard this, yeah. They have like extra testosterone for sure. Makes them a little bit stronger, a little bit faster.
Yeah.
No, I think we're in total agreement, which is why I didn't think you would answer my phone.
So you're a golfer too?
I do, I golf.
Are you good?
No, I mean, I'm getting there.
Me too.
Golf is hard, though.
It is
Have
hard.
you ever golfed?
Oh yeah, I golf every Monday.
Like, what do you mean by good? Like, I could bogey golf. Is that good?
Oh yeah, that's good in my books.
Okay, then I'm good.
Does it bother?
I bowl too.
Does it bother you when you golf with men and they hit it so much further than you?
No.
You're a secure woman?
Yeah, no, that doesn't bother me. They have more muscle. What the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't bother me. I would love to compete with them, but I'm not, I don't know. It doesn't, like, overcome my psyche so much that I'm, like, bothered.
Do you play from the red tees?
No. I golf white usually, where the men golf.
Oh, okay. I golf from the white tees too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, then I'm better than you, Doug.
You are, because you got the disadvantage of being a woman.
Exactly. Fucking exactly.
How far do you hit your drive?
I love you, Douglas. If I hit it really good...
Uh-oh, now...
When I went, the guy that measured my distance said that he doesn't see many women that can hit it over 200. Which kind of surprised me.
You roboted there. How far did you hit your drive on average?
On average, like 220.
Okay.
But the farthest I've hit is like maybe 250. And when I hit my driver, said that was very high, kind of.
Yeah, you're roboting again. So I'm going to let you go, but thanks so much, Waffles, for calling in. Did you hear what I said?
God, am I going in and
Yeah.
out? No, I'm going in and out. I'm sorry. I'm in a really bad area.
That's all right. What state are you in? Colorado. Okay. Well,
Colorado?
pleased to meet you, Waffles, and drive safe. And she's gone. No, you just can't divide sports by testosterone levels because that's just one factor, right? Like size is another factor. Why are you comparing cis men to cis women when talking about trans women's sports? Studies so far have shown that MTF heart HRT about after 2 years puts them on par. What are you talking about, monkey for banana? What are you talking about? What 2 years puts them on par? You're saying that you can stunt someone's advantage, testosterone advantage, after 2 years? Is that what you're saying? The thing is, like, if you're going to use drugs to stunt someone's testosterone levels or whatever, why do it in the first place? Again, this is all about feelings, right? Like if you, what's a good example? If you took LeBron James and put him on blockers, so or if you sucked all the testosterone out of him and said, okay, now you can play for the WNBA, you really think that's going to make it on par? You know, I could get that that's what you were saying. But monkey for banana, I can't help but think that this is all about you feeling sorry for certain people. It's okay to say to a trans person, you don't have a penis, you don't have testicles, so you're not a man, a real man. So you can't play with men's sports and vice versa. You have a penis, you have testicles, you are a real man biologically, so you can't play in female sports. Like, why even go to the effort to do the hormone replacement therapy and that stuff? Why even go down that road to begin with? And it's all about just so they feel better, right? They want to be included. They want to be loved. And good point, B.S. Lewis. If you go down the road of using drugs to block other hormones, why not go the other way around? Why not feed women steroids and say, okay, now you can go play with the men? Like, why even go down that road? And it's all about so people don't cry. Or they'll use well, you either let me play in women's sports or I'll kill myself. Like that, it becomes like a form of terrorism. Can you explain women's sports? Thank you, Monolith. Why is it that a person is the gender they say they are, no matter what their hormones are? But with sports, it's usually after 2 years of hormones that they're not allowed to compete. Yeah, good point. If someone is a real woman with a penis, why do they need the hormones then? Why do they need to block the testosterone or the hormone replacement therapy? Why, see, that just shows that they're not real men, not real women, because there has to be drugs involved to change. And many trans people admit this. They admit, no, I'm a trans woman. I'm not a real woman. It's just reality. Now, intersex is when things get complicated. I admit that. Because with intersex, they have both reproductive organs, right? I think you could take all the testosterone out of LeBron James or to the level of a woman, and he would still dominate just based on the fast twitch muscle fiber in his body, his frame size. Like, it would be no contest. There's no, like, how could anybody here on the planet Earth say that would be fair? If tomorrow LeBron James started saying, I identify as a woman, like, is there anyone here who would take that seriously? I mean, of course not. And if you would support LeBron James in entering the WNBA after 2 years of hormone replacement therapy, I mean, you're only doing this because you feel sorry for him. I wonder if one of his children was trans. If one of my kids was trans, I'd still say, look, you cannot go on women's sports. Go to your room and cry for 2 hours. My kids know me already. They know I'd say that. But Doug, they're depressed. The way people react to these issues is based on the tough love versus soft love approach. I'm taking the tough love approach. People who are tend to be bleeding heart liberals, they would be the soft heart approach. That's all. That's what makes people different. I agree. What ? Circumcision should be the choice of an adult. I'm thinking to myself, why cut the foreskin off that baby boy? Why? Oh, it's cleaner. Oh, I got it. Cleaner. You can teach how to clean a boy. You can teach a boy how to clean his foreskin. I mean, you know, that is even a more interesting point, Sebastian. Magnus Carlsen identifying as a woman. Even before I read it, this is a hard topic. You want to get people riled up. Why is there women's chess and men's chess, huh? There's women's chess tournaments and there's men's chess tournaments. Why? There's even women's poker events and men's poker events. Why? Riddle me that. I honestly don't know the answer to the question. Why is there women's chess and men's chess? Now, there are, with chess and poker, like they do intermingle, but there are tournaments just for women in poker and chess. And I'm, what? Like, if I was a woman, that'd be an insult. Like, you're basically saying women are not as good as men at math. Because poker is basically math. And chess is calculation when you do long chess. When you do short chess, it's intuition, but based on patterns. So are men better than women at math and pattern seeking? Some would say yes, when you look at it as a distribution. I'm not sure I'm convinced of that. But you do see it in my anecdotal life. You do see men, like when I was in chemistry, physics, men. Biology, more women. Sociology, a lot of women. Teaching, a lot of women. Math, men. Some women. Why? Is there a gene? Is there a something in men that women don't have that makes them better at math? Is it cultural? But why would math and chemistry be cultural? Because I think right now there's more women going to universities than men. Is that true? Like it's 55% women in public universities in the United States. But if you look at departments, you'll still find the majority of men in physics and math. Why do women hate physics so much if it's cultural? What is it about physics that culturally makes women, I don't know. The top female players would reach about 2,600 elo, so if more would play, maybe some woman could challenge Magnus. Well, but the question is, why is there so few female players to begin with? What is it about chess that makes it culturally? Is it just games in general? I don't know. Math is racist. When I was in graduate school in chemistry, like Waffles was not in graduate school. She got an undergraduate degree. But she's an exception. But see, in graduate school in chemistry, I think my entering class was 30, 40. And I think there were only 3 or 4 women. So maybe 10% in chemistry. Now, when I was in grad school in finance or in business administration, there was more women. But I still think it was like, if I was to guess, 60-40, 70-30 men. Like, is having testosterone make you a better poker player? Maybe, I don't know. Take more risks, get away with it. More propensity to bluff. Same with chess. Take extra risks. Like the one big difference between men and women, according to science, is risk taking. Men tend to take more risks than women. Women tend to have more aversion to risk than men, which is very reasonable on an evolutionary sense. But here's a question that is a very uncomfortable question. If there is a biological reason why men are better at math, physics, chemistry than women, on average, if we could show that scientifically, would you want to believe it? if there was a biological reason why men are better at poker, chess on average, would you want to believe it? If it were true that men were smarter on average than women, would you want to believe it? If it were true that certain races are more intelligent on average than other races, would you want to believe it? These are all very uncomfortable questions. If it were true that we do not have libertarian free will, would you want to believe it? That's more for Christians. I've seen studies like that, Brenda. You know, and this is areas like when you have a society with desires as a whole that can really conflict with the research. Because if it's perceived that a certain result of a study will reflect poorly on women, or let's say a minority race, there is such a huge pressure not to publish that or not to say anything negative that, I mean, it really puts pressure on science. Higher testosterone leads to more war. True dat. Like from my understanding, the distribution curve of IQ, for example, between men and women are flatter distribution, men are narrower. Is that true? Or is that the other way around? No, the other way around. Men are flatter, women are more narrow. So you'll have more idiots that are men and more savants that are men than women because their distribution curve is wider. I think that's right, right? Oh yeah, it's very taboo to study race and IQ. I quit smoking and hate everyone. I blame others' stupidity on gender and race. That's what happens when you quit smoking. Waffles. You're making me blush. Where is my outro? I am really impressed I've gone 3.5 hours without peeing. Only a man can do that. Big bladder. I'm still reading the chat. No, I never read that, Sebastian. Interesting. Yeah, thank you for all the viewers who stayed here from beginning to end. Uh-oh. You gotta find something to disagree with me about. You want to talk about, what do you want to talk about? SP, and F orbitals, Waffles? You want to talk about titrations? Stability constants? EDTA? You want to talk about chemistry experiments gone wrong? Inhaling ammonium hydroxide and almost passing out? We could talk about using ether to clean the glassware. Yeah, maybe I should have. Thank you for your super chat, Monolith. You did a lot of them today. Maybe I should have Mr. Didi on someday. Poof.